Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. The Blue Jackets bounced back from Sunday's loss on Long Island. Columbus won in Philadelphia last night 3-2. Zach Werenski and Mason Marchment recorded a goal and an assist in the win. Jet Greaves had 24 saves to bump the Blue Jackets to second in the Metro with 87 points. 11 games remain in the regular season. Jackets will skate in Montreal Thursday before a back-to-back in Columbus this weekend. Sunday against San Jose, Saturday against San Jose, Sunday hosting Boston. Today in Columbus, the NFL descends upon the Woody Hayes Athletic Center for Ohio State's 2026 Pro Day. The festivities begin around noon. Last year, more than 150 NFL talent evaluators were in attendance. The Buckeyes resume spring practices on Thursday in advance of the spring game, Saturday, April 18th. This update is sponsored by Uber Eats. Uber Eats has a great deal waiting for you at Scramblers from now until March 31st to get a buy one, get one free deal on the Manhandler skillet on the app. Terms apply. Breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Your morning just got more interesting. Distilled and barrel-picked for your listening pleasure. Bo Bishop, a local sports media legend. What William T. Sherman was to the Union Army, he is to Northern College football. A husband, a father, and middling youth sports coach. He's friends with Central Ohio sporting royalty.
Talking to Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjorken. Coach Day walking on with us right now. Good to see you, buddy. Good buddy Austin Ward. My good buddy Tim May, the Tim May Show. The great Doug Lavery's joining us.
Hi, everybody. Dom Barry here.
Oh, Reese came in and he handed me papers.
Yeah.
And then
and
then he said, "You see that button? That's the only button you need to worry about. Don't touch. There's 8,000 buttons in front of me." Oh, I didn't know what he was talking about.
The one that says on.
We blew the budget on this imaging, and only two guys answered our ad on Craigslist. Ryan Baker and Eric Reeser. Act accordingly. You're now listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for over 75 years.
Doing it live on a first Friday edition of the program. I realized something stumbling through that update. But today's Pro Day for Ohio State. Welcome, NFL scouts and talent evaluators, to our beautiful city. That it starts at noon at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, noonish. It's a floating start time. Why? Because they have to wait for Joshua Perry to arrive before they can get festivities underway. Good morning.
Morning. They're not waiting on me. I know that for certain.
I don't know about that.
They're probably waiting on some of the GMs. Maybe some of the scouts who we talked about it. Some guys get on the private plane. Some guys have to go through security. Maybe there were some delays that they were trying to prepare for. So they wanted to give a little lead time.
Talking yesterday, trying to figure out when things were going to begin. You know, you reach out to guys who cover Ohio State football on a daily basis just to see what the average start time you got from different folks was. Like I asked Jake Trotter, who's going to join us at 10:30 in advance of that pro day, and he was like, "I got noon." I was like, "All right." So the average was 11:30, 12 o'clock, and then I realized, oh, bleep, airports are a mess. And so you do kind of wonder if everybody, and hopefully they made the proper plans to arrive here, because I'm looking at ESPN, and Louis Riddick is on the field right now at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. It's a huge day for, I'd say, more than a dozen Buckeyes to really get your kind of final, your closing argument to why I should be part of your NFL franchise's future. And Joshua, was something that you were a part of, and I'm sure have a great many stories, not just of what you did on the field, what you did working out that day for evaluators, but the before and kind of the after of how things really go for pro days, and that all of these NFL evaluators, what they really want to do is they see on the field, of course, but they kind of want to get more, they want to get a better sense of who you are as a person.
No doubt. It's a hell of a day, and certainly more comfortable than the combine. I think that's the biggest benefit of a pro day for maybe guys who didn't love their testing numbers, or guys who decided that they didn't want to test or do drills. Yeah. You get to be on your home turf, and you're in a comfortable environment. I've covered pro days since my own. For Big Ten Network, I did one for Ohio State. I did Notre Dame's last year for Peacock. And it's interesting seeing the guys, how they operate right now. But what you know that goes on behind the scenes is they have weigh-ins still. They do all of the lifting. If you want to redo your vert, you want to do your broad jump, you can do all that kind of stuff. The night before my pro day, the Saints reached out, and they were like, we want to take a group of you to dinner. So it was a lot of guys from the defense, went down to Hyde Park downtown. We had dinner. Then that morning, 7 a.m., be in the Woody. Somebody from the Detroit Lions would like to meet with you, get you on the grease board, go over some X's and O's, kind of quiz you that way. And then maybe afterward, there's a team or two that wants to do an informal meeting just to kind of get to know you a little bit better. Maybe they didn't have time at the combine, or somebody who wants to get you on the board as well. So we talk about the on-field testing, much like the combine, where all that stuff is important. But you still go through a lot of the meetings as well with NFL personnel at Pro Day, which is a great opportunity because these guys they're trying to draft great football players, but they also want guys that they can rely on to be decent humans at bare minimum. And so they want to get to know you as well.
It really comes to does your talent outweigh the personal baggage?
Yeah.
And if we can minimize the personal baggage, or we can kind of minimize the things you do off the field, then maybe that can help raise your ceiling on the field.
Yes.
It's a very delicate balance. So we'll have plenty of conversation as we kind of inch closer to that noon-ish start time for Ohio State's Pro Day. Again, Jake Trotter from ESPN will be in Columbus around probably 11:30, so we'll probably catch him on the road. But with ESPN, so Louis Riddick up on the screen right now, this is the silliest time of the year. We got 29 days till the draft on April 23rd, and the conversation that we've had this week centering around the quarterback discussion in terms of which signal callers are going to be drafted, which signal callers could go in the first round. What ESPN does, and I don't know if this is better than anybody, but ESPN does it more than anybody, is they have a performative aspect to their take making and take giving. And Dan Orlovsky, I think, is the best at it in terms of the wide range of emotions his face shows when you give takes, or when you respond to his takes, or even when you levy criticism at things that he said. And so he's certainly stumped for Ty Simpson as an NFL prospect over Fernando Mendoza. I think it's just widely understood that Mendoza's go number 1 to the Las Vegas Raiders, and we're walking. The draft kind of starts at 2. And I don't know if that's the most exciting or sexy thing for ESPN, but we'll have greater conversation throughout the program. But I bring up Orlovsky because I had a similar wide-mouthed reaction at the beginning of this NHL season when Jody Shelley came on these airwaves and said the Blue Jackets, he thinks, could finish second in the Metropolitan Division. Much like Orlovsky, his mouth's never closed. Mine was agape when Jody said that, because I thought that's the most ridiculous thing ever. They missed the playoffs by 2 points last season. There's no way they're going to go from outside of the playoffs to second in one of these stronger divisions in the NHL. But after last night, looky where we are. Second in the Metropolitan Division. Jackets get a huge 3-2 win over the Philadelphia Flyers. And I wanted to ask you, Joshua and Baker, as we go with 11 games left to go in the season, have you tried box breathing, either of you? Because you're not going to really get a night with this team that's going to be taking it easy.
Yeah, I like that, though. We talked about it with March Madness. I'm a fan of drama in sports. I always say that sports is the greatest form of reality TV. And as a reality TV junkie, I thrive off of drama. And so this idea of, it's going to be tense and our emotions are going to be high is really good. And then I think when you flip it over to actually watching the games, the way that these guys are playing, obviously playing well, but it's certainly not perfect. And they're playing fast with tempo. It's aggressive. All of the inputs there are man, this is going to be a hell of a finish. Now, I never expected that they were going to be in this spot. And certainly after the start to the season, it was all right, well, this is going to be another one of those ones. But I'm glad to see this. And I hope that they can maintain this. Imagine being able to host playoff games at Nationwide Arena. That would be phenomenal. And I know the crowd would just eat that up.
So, Reese, I don't think we're going to be box breathing, quite frankly. And I kind of felt this way over the weekend after their game, even the loss to the Islanders on Sunday. When I was looking at everything and I'm like, okay, you're sitting here at 85 points. You are still third place in the Metro, and you've got 12 games to go. And I truly believe, and maybe I'm crazy, I truly believe 96 gets them in. Well, at that point, 5 wins.
Right.
Out of 12, which they've been playing at a pace that's much better than that. You get 5 wins out of 12. That's no overtimes, anything. You're at 95 points. Well, I think the Jackets are going to be much better than that here. I would think it's safe to say that even if the Jackets play comes down a little bit here, you win 7 of those 12 games. 7 at that point would have put you up at 99 points. That's second in the Metro, I believe, and that's hosting a playoff game or a playoff series. So, and you got one of those wins last night.
Yeah.
You picked it up. And I don't know if you played your best hockey last night, but not only did you get a win, but you took points from a team that was trying to catch you.
So the Jackets had 89 points last season. It's still wild to hear that this team's a 10-point better than they were last year.
And that might be the case here. It could be. Now, maybe you're only 7 points better. But I am actually pretty convinced that the Jackets are going to get that second spot in the Metro pretty easily here, and they're going to be hosting either the Penguins or the Islanders, and away we go. This is going to be fun.
Gosh, if the potential for a playoff matchup with Pittsburgh, having those fans, because every time, Joshua, when Columbus hosts Pittsburgh, the lower bowl is very yellow. It's and it's been that way for the 25-year existence of this franchise. And so I'm almost hoping that's going to be the case, because nothing would please me more to have Penguins fans come over from Pittsburgh and lose.
And be sad.
And have to go back on that 3-hour trek with a loss. We'll have plenty of Jackets discussion also throughout the program. We've got Jackets Carolina Hurricanes tickets to give away. No trip, just the tickets. Freak anybody out there. But Jake Trotter coming up at 10:30. We'll do Hey Guys at 11. So get your questions into the YouTube chat at 971BFS, and we'll do all of that coming up at 11. But yesterday you heard for the first time from Ohio State's new offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith. Was it Ryan Day who picked his new OC out of the bunch? We'll discuss that next. Bishop and Friends on The Fan.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
At Babs R Us, we believe home improvement is life improvement. As the Midwest's fastest growing 5-star bathroom remodeler, we're more than just transformations. We're a community driven by a mission to bring your dreams to life. Our installation team, part of the Babs R Us community, isn't just skilled. They're dedicated to respecting your home. Each day, they bring craftsmanship and hustle, turning your dream space, no matter the size, into reality. Together, we embrace a culture that values diversity, collaboration, and giving back. From supporting local projects to fostering a workplace where every voice is valued, Babs R Us is more than a company. It's a community of experts. We're also expanding locations to create more possibilities for homeowners across the Midwest. Wherever you are, you'll find us ready to turn your dreams into something you can see, feel, and enjoy every day. Right now, get $1,500 off a shower or tub replacement, or $3,000 off a full bathroom remodel. Plus, low to no monthly payments. Call 380-225-BAB to schedule your free estimate, or go to babsrus.com. Babs R Us, where dreams soak in.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love, with no artificial sweeteners, only 30 calories, just 5 grams of sugar, and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. That great Pepsi taste with even more to love. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.
Remember what sunshine feels like? Windows open, birds chirping, everything looking fresh and new. Spring is closer than you think, and so are those home projects on your to-do list. Maybe winter left its mark, a small leak that's getting bigger, shingles that didn't survive the snowstorms, or siding that's clearly seen better days. Whatever your home is facing, our team of professionals at Newman Roofing are here to help. For more than 34 years, Newman Roofing has been helping homeowners protect what matters most. From your first phone call, you'll notice the difference. Passionate and committed people who care about doing the job right. And with over 1,000 5-star Google reviews, you don't have to take our word for it. If your roof, siding, or gutters need attention, call the family company you can trust, Newman Roofing. Call Newman Roofing today at 614-NEW-ROOF or visit online at newmanroofing.com. Don't just get a new roof this spring, get a Newman roof.
Hey, it's Matty Ice. March is here. McDaniel GM Superstore in Marion is rolling out 26 Chevy Silverado 1500s with below supplier pricing for everyone. That means savings up to $12,000 off MSRP, or lease a brand new Silverado for $279 a month for 24 months with $3,998 due at signing. Rules and restrictions apply. See dealer for details. The McDaniel GM Superstore has been family owned for over 100 years. They're just off Route 23 on 95 in Marion, or visit McDanielGMSuperstore.com. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
Common Man has hosted shows with radio royalty, Spielman, Tor, T-Bone, just to name a few. So listen to his new show with Timmy Hall. If man can pull this one off, he's a miracle worker. Common Man and Timmy.
Weekdays at 3.
The Fan.
Mental health is extremely important for students because if they are not in the right headspace, then they're not going to be able to learn academically. They aren't going to get along with their peers socially. The Pickerington Support Staff Association, with our partnership with the Kids Mental Health Foundation, provides resources for not only our staff, but then we're also able to put it out there in the community to make sure all of our students are taken care of. My name is Joey Moore, and I am a proud member of the Pickerington Support Staff Association because strong unions make strong public schools for our students.
This is Pause Before You Play, and it's time for more game day picks from local sports fans. You're on the air. Who you got?
Actually, I'm not betting, just chilling and watching the game.
I know that move, a pause. Sounds like you've got a winning strategy.
Exactly. After I set limits and recognized the risk, I knew it was time to stop.
Now that is responsible betting, folks. Sports are fast. Betting shouldn't be. Make a plan at pausebeforeyouplay.org. That's pausebeforeyouplay.org.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Partly sunny skies and highs getting into the mid-60s, and then for tonight, mostly cloudy overnight with our lows in the mid to low 50s. For Thursday, an isolated chance of showers and storms, otherwise partly sunny, warm, and windy with highs getting in the mid to upper 70s. Chances of storms develop late Thursday overnight into Friday, some which could be strong with heavy downpours and gusty winds. For The Fan, I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfalo with the 10 Weather Impact Forecast.
1, 2, 3. Here in The Fan is always football o'clock. Proud to be your home of the Buckeyes, Browns, and all the NFL games you can handle. The Fan. They've all been paid by the Cleveland Browns. This is Bishop and Friends.
That's not necessarily true for this broadcast. Eric Reeser, Joshua Perry, Ryan Baker. Welcome, the Cleveland Browns, or whichever representative from that franchise. Probably north of 150 NFL talent evaluators. If there were 150 last year, probably bump that number up.
I'll try to count.
2026 Pro Day. Yeah, see if you can get a head count. Yeah. Like, I don't know if they use the clicker that you use like an amusement park.
Love those.
Get the numbers.
Is it kind of weird that Ohio State and Alabama are both having their pro days on the same day? I would think NFL guys would be like, hey, could you split this up a little bit? And also you throw Texas A&M there. I think there's a lot of guys that NFL scouts would want to be covering.
I mean, I think unless you're the Cincinnati Bengals, you've probably got several decision makers or several talent evaluators that can go to different places. Probably for Cincinnati, it's like, well, we got to pick and choose.
Well, drive up the road.
Is the best option.
Probably. Yeah. A&M's got a lot of guys, too. Like, they're going to have a ton of dudes that are drafted this year, so they'll probably have a packed house. So, yeah, Bake, it's like, who do you send where is really the question. Like, where's your most important decision maker going? Guess it depends on who you like and what your needs are, but that'll be something to watch.
And it's probably good. This is probably something the NFL likes a lot about what Ohio State's doing, and having Matt Patricia and now Arthur Smith as your top two coordinators. Really, as Ryan Day has said, that Matt Patricia's the head coach of the defense, Arthur Smith's the head coach of the offense. They know everybody.
It is a huge benefit to the guys that this is the setup, and not as much with the offensive guys. Arthur Smith is brand new, but next year it's going to be big for those guys. Matt Patricia talked about what he did to help prepare some of the defensive players for Indianapolis, and I think that is invaluable. And every agency that a player would sign with has somebody who coaches them up on what you do when you get into interviews, and this is what all the drills are like. But to have somebody there, and Matt Patricia, when he was with the Patriots, came to Columbus and worked me out. Me and Tyvis, as a matter of fact, were the only two that actually made it to the field park because he put us on the grease board for 3 hours. But
jeez,
he knows exactly what this is like and what they're looking for, and he knows how to communicate to all those guys. So I think that is like a huge benefit in this process. Is Matt Patricia has probably been on the phone talking to some of his buddies in the NFL, just like, yeah, this is what you don't know about this guy, but you're going to love it about him, and this is why you should draft him.
And I think the same thing will be said, to your point, next year for Arthur Smith and everybody calling him like, hey, what about this Julian? What about Julian? Like, what? Tell us a little bit about him. And so Arthur was made available yesterday, talking with the media for the first time since his arrival in Columbus. And one of the things that he had talked about with Ohio State's quarterback one, unquestionable, is his ability to handle so much that's been asked from him of Julian, not only from an X's and O's on field standpoint, but being a leader of the team.
Well, what you're going to ask him to do, how you may want to package things, or if you got player that can handle that, assuming that the other 10, I mean, you're evaluating that and what you're putting on his plate. It's one thing if he can do it all, but if the other guys can't handle it, well, then you're kind of wasting your time. But it really allows you to package things, and there's a lot of things that's pretty common. I mean, I imagine there's several colleges that may get to it differently with signals, and I know it's changed now because they've got the quarterback communicator from those big signs and the people in the highlighter things that's kind of gone away, but things you're trying to assess, and that's the chess game you're playing on Sundays. You get coordinators, and obviously Coach Patricia's here. I mean, those are the daily chess matches, which obviously helps him, in his goals and aspirations at the next level.
It's all very base level stuff now, right? Between Arthur and Julian, you're Smith, you're just getting into Columbus, you're finding a place to live, you're dealing with movers, you're probably watching. I think he said yesterday he watched every game from Ohio State last season. So you're seeing what, from Julian in those 12 games in the regular season, the Big Ten championship, the college football playoff, and you're just trying to figure out, all right, what does he do well? How do I envision him working with this offense? And then starting probably yesterday, it started maybe 2 weeks ago, and then you, I think, kind of figure out how this is all going to fit together and what I imagine for Ohio State's offense, meaning Arthur Smith.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were two parts of what he said that stand out. It's the chess match between himself and his chess pieces on the offense and what the defense wants to put out there. And he mentioned the battles that will happen in spring and in training camp going up against Matt Patricia and his personnel is going to inform how they do that during the season. But these coaches all want to move their pieces in a specific way so they can get into the right play and they can have successful downs. The hard part about that is the first thing that he said. What can Julian handle and what can the rest of the guys on that offense handle? And that's probably where he's got to do maybe some self-evaluation compared to being a professional coordinator where, you're dealing at times with Aaron Rodgers, for example. And that guy can handle just about anything you put on his plate. And by the way, the dudes he's throwing the ball to and the guys who have to block for him, you're not going to slow down because they're professionals as well. And so that's where I think I'm curious to see his evolution is how much you think they can handle, what do you put on their plate? And then once you get into games like, maybe you don't have as full of a menu as you did as a professional coach, but how do you attack with the menu that you do have?
And here's Smith talking about just that change of professionals now to, we'll go semi-pros in the case of these student athletes.
In my career, I've been lucky. I've probably had more quarterbacks than anybody. So that guys that are rookies, and then I had Aaron last year, who's my age. So I've had him at every end of the spectrum. So obviously these guys are closer to all the rookies I've coached. It's a very mature group. I mean, I knew that just from the kind of type of character and the guys that, I've been around. We had Will Howard last year. I had Justin Fields. We drafted Jack Sawyer. I had Jeff Okudah in Atlanta. We traded for, drafted Zach Harrison. Coach Day's done a great job, not only getting great players, but great people in here. And that's been his fun, too. I mean, take a guy like Julian. There's a lot he can handle, and I think he's very mature, very intelligent, and so it's been fun to work with him.
I think there's the maturity.
Yeah.
The guys that he mentioned, the guys that you see on this team right now, and certainly one of the more appealing aspects, not only the talent, because this feels to me that Ryan reached out to Arthur about this offensive coordinator vacancy, and Arthur probably had his pick of which jobs to take, and certainly Ryan had his pick of which open coordinators wanted to take this job, because not only do you have the maturity of the players, you have the sheer talent and the talent disparity between who Ohio State has and the talent of the other teams.
The resources too.
Right.
Like if he was going to make a step down to college, I think he would be very choosy about where he goes, because in the NFL, you have as much staff as your owner is willing to give you. And when you're in Pittsburgh, right, like you have plenty to work with. Yes. That's a good organization. And so you don't want to go to a program where they're penny pinching and they won't give you the analysts and they won't give you the quality control, right? So he has all of those different things. Now, he said coaching college guys is maybe a little bit closer to coaching the rookies in the NFL. And I think what we saw from Matt Patricia last year was he got his guys to look veteran, and he did it quickly. And that's going to be the challenge here is how do you get these guys to think more like NFL veterans? Final thing I'll say, he probably, after hearing that, was like, I have no issues with the players. It's about the right fit for me, because clearly he liked the Ohio State guys that he was around when he was in the league. And I think that's a big deal for him to be like, players are not a question. I just have to be comfortable with Ryan Day, and I have to be comfortable with the way that they want to run this program. And so obviously he felt those things checked out as well.
Joshua, I think it's interesting what you said there about Matt Patricia in last year. And I don't know if Matt Patricia could have done what he did without Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles. Two super experienced, probably already pro-level players. Mm-hmm. They knew the game inside and out. I think that's one thing that's going to help Arthur Smith tremendously this year is you have Julian Sayin, who I think we all agreed probably could have handled a little more last year than they gave him, especially at the beginning. A super smart quarterback. He's already had a year under his belt. Jeremiah Smith, who is a pro through and through, not only with his athletic ability, but his approach to the game, the way he handles off the field. And then a veteran offensive line as well. Carson Hendon, Luke Montgomery, those guys have played a lot of football for this team. So I think it's one of those things that's going to really help Arthur Smith as he makes the adjustment to college, is that he's got some guys on this offensive side of the ball that can handle a lot, just like Patricia had last year. Patricia this year may not have exactly the luxury, so he may have to change some things. But last year when you have Caleb and Sonny, it's easy to do what you do. I think it's going to be easier for Arthur Smith having those experienced guys.
Well, to that point, I think this is a little bit of a challenge for Jeremiah because he's done everything right as a player. And you mentioned his approach to the game. The thing that you hear about him the most is how he works and what he does extra. When Urban was around, one of the things that he would do, like Mike Thomas was a guy who worked tirelessly like that. They had to tell him, make sure you bring a guy with you when you come in and get your extra work. And I think for Jeremiah now, we've seen the athleticism, we've seen the habits. Now it's time for the voice, right? Like you're a veteran guy. You are the best player on the roster. Now you've got to be that vocal guy who starts to bring everybody else along with you. And if he starts to take that on himself, now all of a sudden, as a coach, it becomes much easier to say, we can turn these guys into vets because our players truly believe in helping bring in the other guys along.
Some really cool stuff from yesterday for Ohio State's practice. 17 Buckeyes will be working out for scouts and talent evaluators today at Ohio State's Pro Day. But next, 6 degrees of Matt Patricia. It's Bishop and Friends on the Fan.
What can ADP do for small business? We help answer the business questions, like how do you track employee time? How do you do payroll taxes? Or what does compliance even mean? So small businesses can focus on bigger questions. Now florists can ask, can we invent another holiday to sell bouquets? Pizza shops can ask, how do we stuff a calzone into a pizza crust? And pool cleaners can ask, what is that thing in the filter? These are the questions you can focus on when ADP takes care of the business of your small business. ADP for small business.
I'm Leslie from Pella Columbus.
And I'm Wilson from that other window place.
Wilson, we put new windows in a Dublin home last week. You wouldn't believe how much new light was let in. Changed the entire mood of the home.
You don't need fancy windows to change the mood of a room, Leslie. Know what else will do that? Wilson's Wicks, my new candle line. Here, smell this one.
Oh, that's bad.
I call it warm tuna salad. It's not for everyone.
Get the windows that can completely change the look and feel of your home at PellaColumbus.com.
Aetna was there for me as I was going through a rough medical patch this year. I had peace of mind, which helped with my healing.
Those words from a real Aetna Medicare Advantage member speak to why U.S. News & World Report named us a best Medicare Advantage company. Because we show up on calls with members and doctors' offices when requested. We show up with the latest in online tools for easier access to healthcare. We show up for you. Because that's how healthier happens together. Member feedback has been edited for length and clarity.
Bacon, sausage, egg, cheese, made from scratch biscuits, fresh baked croissants, cinnamon swirl French toast. Hungry? Grab a hot UDF breakfast sandwich made in store for your morning. UDF, mornings made for you.
It's 2026, the year you achieve your health goals. The Good Feet store wants to help. Trade in your bad feet for good feet. We want to help you walk, run, exercise, and play in comfort this year. Visit the Good Feet store on Polaris Parkway near the Polaris Mall or on Stringtown Road at Grove City.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Cellar, your true jeweler for almost 80 years. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
What's up? What's up, man? What's up with you?
All right, here's what's up on a first Friday edition of the program. It's Pro Day at Ohio State. More than 150 NFL scouts and talent evaluators will be taking a look at this next crop of Buckeyes, hoping to hear their names called starting on April 23rd in Pittsburgh. Joshua Perry, when you were a participant for Ohio State's Pro Day. You said something in the last segment that perked my ears a lot of Matt Patricia, current defensive coordinator at Ohio State, was he the DC for the New England Patriots?
I believe he was the DC.
Had you for 3 hours on your Pro Day?
So, no, this was after Pro Day. It was like an individual workout. So these guys, the process isn't finished for them. This is a good point here. Like, it doesn't stop at Pro Day because there's still time. And teams are going to want to find out more information. So they set up a workout. They'll call your agent. Hey, we want to work out your player, whatever the case was. So Matt Patricia calls a bunch of different agents, I guess, and wants to work out 5 of us. So usually the way it goes is you ask your agent, like, what time does it start? 8 a.m. So you get there at 7, stretch out, whatever. Usually you go on the board for an hour, and then you might go on the field for 30 minutes and do some drills. So hour and a half, 2 hours you should carve out for this thing. That's what they were telling me. We get there, and I'm like, wish I was exaggerating it. It was like 3 hours that we spent on the board. And
this is just with Matt Patricia.
Yes,
on the board.
He's got individual clips of us pulled up. He's got the way that the Patriots play defenses. He wants us to go over our college defense, our base defense, some of our change-up calls, what are your favorite blitzes. Then he would teach us their install on some of their concepts, draw it up, repeat it back to me, set the front, tell us how we're rolling. He draws up an offensive formation, tell us how we're going to match up to this, all these different things. So I said there were 5 of us. Some of the guys thought that it was going to be just like a regular 2-hour thing like most of them are.
Right.
So we had dudes dropping out of there like flies because they had other meetings with teams set up. So by the time we got to the field, it was just 2 of us, me and Tyvis, I believe. You can ask him. So we go out there, and it's like 45 minutes of the 2 of us doing basically like sprints. And part of the reason why is I'm doing some linebacker drills. Tyvis is doing some safety drills. Some of those overlap, some of them don't. So on the safety drills, Matty P is like, well, you hop in there and you do them too. So it's like back pedal, flip, 30-yard run down the field. He's launching the ball, go up, high point it, and then run it back. And you have to understand, the training for Combine and Pro Day is basically 40 yards is the most that you're running at any point.
Right.
Because that's all you do. And you're not in football shape. You're not in shape to do a 45-minute workout that's basically all dead sprints. My legs were so heavy. I've got a little bit of asthma. My lungs were hurting. Like, it was the wildest thing. And then don't draft either one of us.
So I was just about to say, you get drafted by the San Diego Chargers.
Which I didn't meet with them at all.
At all in during the whole process?
Not one meeting with them.
Not during the Combine?
Not during the Combine, not during Pro Day, not afterwards. I didn't talk to anybody from that organization one time. Yeah.
The team that drafted you?
The team that drafted me.
So how did they...
don't lie.
I guess it goes to the point that I've been making about a lot of these Buckeyes. I know Field Yates had his most recent NFL mock yesterday, and there were 4 Buckeyes in the top 6. And for all of those guys, Carnell Tate to the Browns at 6, baby. Turn on the tape.
Yeah.
And that felt very much for you.
That's exactly what it was. I got a call on draft day. It was the 3rd day of the draft. I'm sitting in my parents' den, and I get the call, and it's a San Diego number. And I'm like, who is this, a prank? Like, who the hell is calling me? Because I met with probably like 5 or 6 teams multiple times that needed a linebacker and needed it probably in the range that I was going to go.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking like, okay, maybe the Giants. I'm thinking Seattle might be an option. I had met with Philadelphia, right? So, like, there were these teams where I'm like, if these area codes pop up, I know, like, this is it.
Yeah.
And then I get the San Diego. I'm like, I don't even know you guys.
So, coming out of Pro Day, who did you think was going to be calling you on draft day?
I met with the Giants numerous times.
Okay.
I met with them at the Combine, formally and informally. I talked to some of their personnel after Pro Day, and then they flew me out for a visit. And so I felt pretty good about that. The Rams were also a team that I spent a lot of time with. And then Philadelphia, that was like Senior Bowl, Combine, Pro Day, the whole deal. And so I'm like, okay, those were like 3 teams where I'm like, this would make a lot of sense.
Was there, and I'm sure at that point as a player, you just want to hear your name called.
Yes.
But was there a situation that you were like, man, I'd really like to go there?
Not really. I felt like it was going to be I'm not going to say an uphill battle, but like anywhere I went, I felt like I was really going to have to earn it because I'm thinking round 3, round 4 as a draft pick. Like there's not a team where like I'm walking in day 1 and I'm going to be the starter. Certainly there were some defensive systems I felt like I fit a little bit better in. We played in a 4-3 in college, so I didn't necessarily want to be a 3-4 inside backer, which I ended up being, and that was a little bit of like new terminology and new language and new fits for what I had to do. And then I ended up playing in like 3 different defensive systems in the NFL, which made me a much smarter football player, but that was kind of hell. So like there were, I guess, yes, like schematic situations, but in terms of like finding my way to the field, I'm like better be good on special teams and better get in that damn playbook.
I'm just looking because so you go to the Chargers in the 4th round. I'm just looking at some of the players, that were drafted around you. And just to think that some of these guys, a lot of these guys, when you're in that 3, 4, 5th round, we're probably in the same boat.
Yeah.
For their individual pro days, probably talk to teams at the combine. And then all of a sudden, because of where you are in the draft, it's like, well, at some point, a team that I had spoken with no point in the process calls me up because they've got a need.
So I'll give you a fun draft day story. And I was pissed because I was like hoping that I would go on the 2nd day and didn't happen. So I woke up mad. Joey Bosa gets drafted in the 1st round by the Chargers. So they get those guys from the draft on a private jet. They fly him out. They do the whole, press conference photo shoot thing. So on day 3 of the draft, the Chargers have a fan fest. And they have Joey Bosa announce the 4th round pick. So he was the person who called my name on draft day, which was pretty cool.
That's really cool.
That's awesome.
He saved the card that had my name and all the stuff on it, and his mom gave it to my mom. So my mom and my dad are in possession of the card that has all my information from draft day.
That's an awesome story.
Yeah.
So we're doing Hey Guys at 11 o'clock. So I'm kind of just rolling through some of our YouTube comments here. And Chris asks a really good question about the living situation. So say his example is you're drafted by Los Angeles Rams, or in your case, the now LA Chargers, then the San Diego Chargers. What's the situation with what's the living situation look like while you're getting situated to be a rookie all the way across the country?
So there are different options. If you're a guy like Joey, who was a 1st round pick, you probably have, people who are helping you do that whole thing. You can go and buy a condo downtown if you'd like to. Got a lot of guaranteed money. You're probably going to be there for a while.
Yeah.
4th round pick like me, pretty common to make the team. Also not uncommon for those guys to be on the waiver wire by the end of training camp. So they have a hotel that you can stay at for that duration. And then once the final roster comes out, you go ahead and sign a lease somewhere. So that's what I ended up doing. Took the free housing, and then when I had to start paying rent again, I started paying rent again.
Like being back in the dorms.
Oh, yeah. I'll take it.
The guys that are getting ready for this today for Ohio State, Caleb and Carnell and Sonny, and maybe it's different for them, but the Max Clares, the Will Kazmareks, all of that, do you like have the same feeling of a game day as you're getting ready for this? The same kind of butterflies, the same energy, all of that?
I think so. It's funny because I think anytime you're just dialed into something, want to do well, you get those butterflies. I say it all the time, like I come on here, I get butterflies. When I go on TV, I get butterflies. It's just like a natural thing. I think those guys are going through it, and it might be different ways. Like some guys have to have a good workout, plus they need to make a good impression on the people that they talk to. For some of the other guys, it's like the numbers are the numbers. They know who I am as an athlete. Like if I need somebody to fall in love with me, right? Like some of the guys who are going to go maybe a little bit later, that might be the deciding factor, is the idea that a team fell in love with the way that you approach the game. They fell in love with your work ethic or your leadership or your personality. And so having to be on like that probably pushes people out of their comfort zone to a certain degree. So there are butterflies for these guys for a lot of different reasons, but it's the biggest job interview of their life, and they should have some butterflies in their stomach.
Yeah, it's an incredible and incredibly wild process.
It is.
Like the whole thing with the pre-draft or the pre-combine stuff, the actual combine in and of itself, and then you have your individual pro days that all lead up to basically a crapshoot on draft day because as you experienced with some teams, you have a couple guys who you think are going to be there when they're there, and what happens when they're not? Nobody.
Everybody has a plan, and then you watch. Like I love the videos that they show inside the war room where they're shuffling around their board after the picks are coming off. And especially once you get to day 2, maybe a little bit later on there, in day 3, like these guys are just like, okay, this is what we're looking for. Who fits into this? They're back and forth, and everybody has a plan that falls apart. And probably not after pick 1 this year, but maybe after pick 2, the plans will start falling apart.
It does feel like, again, the draft starts at 2. 29 days until that starts in Pittsburgh. 51 new Buckeyes, so that's 51 black stripes. How about some black belts at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center? That's next. Bishop and Friends on The Fan.
We're known for 3 things: games, conversation, and Common Man yelling about things only he cares about. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Tired of snoring? Dr. Mark Levy can help with a custom mouthpiece that opens your airway and stops the snoring. No mask, no noise. Call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or visit sleepbettercolumbus.com today. Stop snoring. Sleep better. Live better.
Care Heating and Cooling. When you need a company you can trust, call 1-800-COOLING.
Thursday is Red's opening day, and that means free Coney Day at Skyline Chili. Hit your neighborhood Skyline to get a free cheese coney with any beverage purchase. All day Thursday. 1 free coney per person per visit at participating Skyline locations.
President Trump has shown you are safer when strong leaders stand with law enforcement. That's why, as governor, Vivek Ramaswamy will partner with police to uphold our laws, keep dangerous criminals behind bars, and protect your family. Law enforcement knows Vivek has their back. That's why 65 Ohio sheriffs endorsed him, including Sheriff Stephen Lavorchek.
Safe streets don't just happen. They happen when criminals know tough leaders are in charge. Ohio law enforcement supports Vivek Ramaswamy because, like President Trump, Vivek supports us. Vivek will empower police to arrest violent criminals quickly and decisively, putting trained resource officers in every school and restoring law and order statewide, so our families feel secure in our homes and communities. Vivek's proudly endorsed by President Trump and Ohio law enforcement. Join us in supporting Vivek Ramaswamy.
Lower costs, bigger paychecks, better schools. Vivek Ramaswamy for governor.
Paid for by Vivek Ramaswamy and Rob McCauley for Ohio.
The madness is on and the deals are going full court at Germain Toyota of Columbus. Drive home the Powerhouse 2026 Tundra at 2.99% APR for up to 72 months and $1,000 Toyota financial cash. That's a slam dunk offer. Or you can drive home in the always reliable 2026 Camry LE for just $269 a month for 36 months, 10,000 miles a year, and $36.99 due at signing. Don't sit on the sidelines. Hustle into Germain Toyota of Columbus on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road or online at germaintoyota.net.
Don't miss the Floor Madness outlet sale at Right Rug Flooring. Save up to 80% on truckloads of floors and more, including tiles starting at 19 cents a square foot and a massive selection of laminate, luxury vinyl, and carpet, all drastically reduced. Save up to 80% during the Floor Madness outlet sale at Right Rug Flooring on Poth Road in Whitehall. 24-month special financing is available with approved credit. Hurry, the Floor Madness outlet sale ends March 30th. Dealers welcome.
If only there was a radio show that constantly talked about Ohio State athletics. Well, good news. It's real, baby. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
Proud to be your flagship home of the Buckeyes. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Hey, it's T-Bone again. Listen up. Sleep apnea doesn't have to rule your nights. Dr. Mark Levy's been treating snoring and sleep apnea for over 15 years with proven results. And now he has an office in Marysville. Call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or go to sleepbettercolumbus.com. Stop snoring, sleep better, live better.
When you saw your heating bills this winter, did you think this is out of control? The problem is your house is leaking money, and the only thing higher than your heating bills are your cooling bills. Steve here from USA Insulation. Let us fix your energy bill problem for good. If you aren't foam insulated, you really aren't insulated. For $99 a month, interest-free, we'll foam your home and help cut those energy bills. 529-2440 or USAinsulation.net.
USA Insulation. Remember your first football game? The sound of the crowd, the smell of the grill, the moment you fell in love with the game. This spring break, pass that moment on. At the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, families walk through the greatest moments in football history and create new memories of their own. See the legends, experience the history, share the game you love. Make the Hall of Fame part of your spring break road trip. Plan your visit today at ProFootballHOF.com.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Weston Air Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
The uncle you never knew you had. The friends you kind of wish you didn't. This is Bishop and Friends.
Yes, it is. Frequent friends, Eric Reeser, Ryan Baker with you on this first Friday edition of the program. Joshua Perry, kind enough to give us more of his time and some incredible pre-draft stories, some incredible draft stories, and we'll continue that conversation as we go throughout the morning because Ohio State does have their pro day today. It looks like 17 Buckeyes will be working out for scouts and talent evaluators. No word yet on. I think there's the main card and maybe an undercard to this, if that makes sense, Joshua,
yeah.
of a Julian Sane, of a Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, it's I'll let you know. I'll send you a text if either of those guys end up working out. Like I said, the Jeremiah, he just needs to be there, and people just need to see him. But if he gets to run around, like it's funny because he's the type of guy that can steal the show.
Yeah.
And it's wild to say that considering some of the show stealers that will already
Tate will be out there.
be working out. Yes, it's wild.
Is it safe to say, like UFC, you've got your main card, which would be the guys that are getting drafted this year?
Carnell, Caleb, Arvell, Sonny.
Those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got your prelims, which is probably like Jeremiah and Julian. The guys will be at the top of the draft next year. And then you got your early prelims, which are your Davison Igbenosons, your Max Clares, your Will Kazmarek, CJ Donaldsons, all of those guys.
Man.
It's kind of the Tim May plan, where he goes into a press conference, and Tim May's always the guy that's never going to let a question get unasked, or he's never going to leave anything on the table.
Can I follow up?
get you a quickie. The NFL scouts and talent evaluators there, I feel like while they'll be looking at the guys who want to hear their names called this upcoming April, might get in and be like, "Hey Jeremiah, why don't you do a route, or why don't you come and sit with us and draw some? We'll have some stuff on the board for you, just as like a casual way to." Let's work with you.
These guys are funny because they sit and watch a bunch of tape, and they a lot of guys like to watch full games rather than cut-ups. And as they're watching a game, they'll have Carnell Tate as the guy that they're watching, and their eyes just drift over to 4. And that's really how it happens, though. Like they've been scouting Jeremiah since his first rep, because anytime they flipped on the last group in the previous group before that of wide receivers, there's no way they didn't look and say, well, that number 4 right there, can't wait till he's draft eligible.
I think it was Bo that has said this before, but like the pro day, the year that Chase Young was a freshman, all of the NFL scouts were like, whoa, who's that guy?
Who's that guy?
Because he was there, watching things and whatnot, and they just saw him, and he was a first team off the bus guy, and they're like, wait a second, that guy's only a freshman? Who's he?
It's wild.
Josh, you had talked about it where for Jeremiah, you go out there and maybe you got a T-shirt and shorts on, but you go with some baby oil. You bring out one of those resistance bands and you start doing some bicep curls.
He should bring dumbbells out of the weight room onto the field and just carry them around.
Because these guys are around large humans all the time, but there are folks, to Baker's point, that are just built different. Like, I didn't know they made humans that looked like Jeremiah.
Did I tell you about the first time I met Jeremiah?
No.
So I did a feature on him and Emeka, Jeremiah's freshman year, before they went out to Autzen to play Oregon.
Okay.
And I had met Emeka before, obviously good-looking athlete. Jeremiah comes through the door, and, like, obviously as he's getting closer, the dude's just getting bigger. So we're eye to eye. Like, he's just tall, broad shoulders, big arms. I go to shake his hand, and I've got big hands. Like, I don't have baby hands.
You're a large human being.
And his hand engulfed mine. And I'm like, holy moly, how old is this guy? Like, you just got here this year looking like that. Yeah, it's different.
It's weird because I know he's got a brother, and his brother's 5'10", and probably doesn't have the size that Jeremiah does. And I wonder, like, being his little brother, you're legitimately his little brother. But, next year he's the best. Gosh, I don't know if there's been a prospect that's come through here like Jeremiah. So, yeah, he'll likely be on the field today. What I thought was interesting from all the news out of the Woody Hayes Athletic Center yesterday, and they got their gold pants from that ass-kicking of Michigan up in Ann Arbor, that was as cathartic, Joshua, of a win as I can remember for Ohio State. You hadn't lost to them in what felt like forever, but it had been 4 seasons. You had a national championship for Michigan and also a national championship for Ohio State in that span. And Luke Montgomery talked after practice about receiving gold pants for, I think, his first time.
Yeah, it means a lot. Obviously, being an Ohio kid, getting a pair of gold pants, that means a lot for just an Ohio kid. Obviously, growing up and playing, wanting to play in that game, and obviously, it was winter wonderland that day, so that made it even better.
For you, like the first pair of gold pants, do you remember how that day went when you got them?
Yeah, so there was a gold pants committee, like an organization basically, and they come in and they do a presentation, give you a little background on the history, which the players already know, and then they present the gold pants to the team. And it's really it's a special thing, obviously. Like, there are so many things in Ohio State athletics culture that bond players through different eras. And for football, this idea of having gold pants and how many gold pants you have is something that threads the generations through. So it was an honor. In my freshman year, I played in that game. I had a couple of snaps on defense. I mostly played on special teams, but feeling like I was really a part of that victory. And this was 2012, so the year before, Ohio State went to Ann Arbor and lost. So, like, everybody was hungry to get it. Certainly was awesome. I'm hoping that these guys just get to stack them like we did. Like, that is a phenomenal feeling, but getting that first pair of gold pants certainly is special.
Reese, nobody on that team that got gold pants yesterday.
It was the first for everybody.
It was 2019. It's the longest non-win against Michigan since 88 to 93, which was the beginning of the John Cooper era there. And you talked about the most cathartic. I would say it's the most cathartic Michigan win since probably the first year of Jim Tressel.
Okay.
Maybe probably because
a long time ago, brother.
He said what he said, 310 days, Ann Arbor, Michigan, and that was kind of the flip in the rivalry where Ohio State had really dominated it until the last 4 years. And I've talked about this before. I don't think it ever gets old beating Michigan, but you do start to, when you have the run that you had, you get spoiled, and you kind of expect it. And I hated every bit of these last 4 years, and it makes me appreciate last year a whole hell of a lot more.
It's funny you say that because, I'm 32. I was born in 94. And so, like, my football viewing memory really doesn't start until the early 2000s. All I knew was wins against Michigan, right? So, like, for me, in a lot of ways, you have to tell yourself it's not a birthright to beat that team, but you start to feel that way, and people start to react that way as well. I certainly was one of those people. It was miserable watching the team that I love lose to the biggest rival. So there was a lot that went into that one for me, specifically this last win. And for those guys, once again, like, there are certain feelings. These guys have felt, many of them have felt being a champion.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that. There's also no feeling like walking around Columbus with your chest puffed out that you beat the brakes off of your rival.
Especially knowing how it's been before that game, where every single day you were reminded of how Michigan not only had beaten you, but in some instances physically dominated you, which is never a point you want to be at in the rivalry. So first pair of gold pants for Matt Patricia as well. And he had, everybody knows everybody. It's a very small world. And he brought on, or he at least gave a recommendation for Ryan Day to bring on Joe Kim, a football pass rush consultant and skills development coach. Joshua, I'd never heard of this title before, but apparently this Joe Kim is legit in hand fighting for defensive ends, for defensive linemen. Maybe there's some offensive linemen that he can teach. He's also produced over 250 black belts, as well as several national and international champion in Taekwondo.
It's unique to have somebody of that skill set. I know Ohio State has had pass rush specialists on staff in the past.
This.
No, not like this. And I learned how to pass rush toward the end of my NFL career. And it certainly is a lot about leverage and hand-to-hand combat. It's why, particularly on the interior of the defensive line, but anybody who plays in the trenches, it's why coaches like guys who wrestled at a high level in high school. So to bring in somebody who is a hand-to-hand combat guy, martial arts, to teach people how to use that, how to generate power through using the combat tactics, I think is really smart. It's super super out of the box. And
Yes.
I can't wait for some of the jokes. Like, you'll see a guy in a game probably do like the cleanest swipe you've ever seen. And I want somebody to take the clip and just wax on, wax off. That's all you need to comment with the clip, because that's basically what it is.
That's what it is, yes. Kim worked along with Matt Patricia in his last NFL job as director of skill development for the Patriots. He's also received praise from Nick Saban. He's had 30 years of coaching experience. He was last at Illinois in a similar spot. You talked about being born in the 90s. We had a lot nostalgia a lot this week. Tiger Woods in his first competitive action yesterday with the TGL finals. Higher or lower comes up next. What are your favorite foods from, I'll call it one of the best decades of all time? That's next. Bishop and Friends on The Fan.
All the Ohio State conversation you can handle. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
Your Ohio State flagship station. The Fan.
Spring is hatching at the Columbus Zoo and Aquarium. Join us April 3rd and 4th for Eggs, Paws, and Claws, presented by Kroger. Hop on over for 2 days of extra special fun with photos with the Easter Bunny. Meet Egbert and roll into Shelley's Rolling Shellebration. Clues are hidden all around the zoo for Explore and Find, so bring your sense of adventure. Get your discounted tickets at Kroger and don't miss this extreme spring celebration at the Columbus Zoo.
Columbus drivers, there's a new Ford service team in town, and we're ready to earn your business. At the Capital Ford of Columbus Service Department, we believe service should be easy. That's why we can come to you. Need an oil change, battery, recall, or routine maintenance? Our mobile service team brings a certified Ford service technician right to your home or workplace. No waiting rooms, no wasted time. And when you do visit us, you'll see what makes a new dealership different. We work harder to show we care. Call or schedule online today with Capital Ford in Whitehall. 614-300-6657.
Got this. Breathe. Breathe. You got this. You got this.
In the moments that truly matter, what do? Rise to the occasion. Ohio Health. It's time.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a staff accountant at the height of tax season.
Congrats. Looks like the company owes, $50 in taxes. How about that?
That seems low. Why only 50?
Why do you care so much? It's not your money.
This is the time for sponsored jobs.
This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-791-0000. That's 800-791-0000.
Every time you pull onto a job site, your name pulls in with you. That's why the pros trust Bobcat equipment. Buy the machine you're proud to run, backed by the crew that's been serving the industry since 1975. That's 50 years of showing up, long after you receive the keys. Bobcat Enterprises is here for you with 9 locations serving Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. On every job, you deserve a team that stands behind you. Visit bobcatent.com to learn more.
Forget the pot of gold. Save some green at Coughlin Chevrolet. Lease a new 26 Chevy Trax, $169 a month. New 26 Equinox, lease for $229 a month. Or lease a new 26 Silverado, $359 a month. Visit CoughlinChevrolet.com. Together, let's drive.
Coughlin has the car for you.
39-month leases, Silverado 36-month lease, $39.99 due at signing, plus tax, title, and license. 10,000 miles per year, 25 cents per mile over. See dealer for details. Ends 3/31/26.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. If your garage floor has stains, cracks, or even the dreaded bad epoxy job, maybe one you tried to do yourself, maybe one you paid for and it didn't work out, it can make your entire garage look bad. Let's be honest about it. And maybe those botched garage floor coatings that you've had in the past have put you off of ever getting it fixed. Well, my friends, let me tell you, the people at Comer and Cross Concrete Floor Coatings want you to know there is a fix out there. They can make your garage floor gleaming, glistening, look like a new car showroom. You call Comer and Cross at 1-800-NEW-FLOOR, and they will come out with their pros, no subcontractors, and install a gleaming new Comer and Cross garage floor in just one day. Yeah, this floor is guaranteed to never chip, crack, or even show tire lift like epoxy or paint can. Never going to have that problem with Comer and Cross. Call them today, 1-800-NEW-FLOOR. It's that easy. 1-800-NEW-FLOOR, or you go to comercross.com. That's C-O-M-E-R cross.com. Get a new garage floor with Comer and Cross Concrete Floor Coatings today.
Coffee, iced cap, refreshers. Tim Hortons has all your favorite beverages. And now you can get your favorite bite for less. When you buy any size beverage, add a baked daily donut for $1, a tasty bagel for $2, or a freshly cracked hot breakfast sandwich for just $3. So next time you order your favorite Tim's beverage, add something that satisfies your cravings and your wallet. The $1, $2, $3 menu. Only at your neighborhood Tim Hortons. At participating U.S. restaurants, must ask for offer in restaurant. Tax extra exclusions and terms apply.
Broadcasting live from the McDaniel GM Superstore Studios. Driving excellence since 1916. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. WBNS HD1 Columbus.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. A great many NFL scouts and talent evaluators descend upon Columbus and the Woody Hayes Athletic Center for Ohio State's 2026 Pro Day. The festivities begin around noon. 17 Buckeyes are scheduled to work out Wednesday in hopes of elevating their draft stock. The NFL draft is 29 days away in Pittsburgh. Football Buckeyes resume spring practices Thursday in advance of the spring game, Saturday, April 18th. In the NFL, Joe Flacco's back with the Bengals on a one-year deal. The 41-year-old was traded to Cincinnati from Cleveland last season. In the NHL, the Blue Jackets beat the Flyers 3-2 last night in Philly. Zach Werenski and Mason Marchment recorded a goal and an assist in the win. CBJ are second in the Metro with 87 points. They'll skate in Montreal on Thursday. And in college hoops, North Carolina fired Hubert Davis on Monday, or Tuesday, I should say, after 5 seasons in Chapel Hill. This update sponsored by BMI Federal Credit Union, voted best local credit union for the last 8 years by CBUS Top Picks. Visit bmifcu.org to learn more.
First Friday miracles are always better with Uncle Bo. This is Bishop and Friends.
Yes, it is. Eric Reeser, Ryan Baker, the pride of Olentangy. Joshua Perry joins us. Yeah, I use the phrase scouts and talent evaluators not necessarily as a crutch phrase, but as a all-encompassing.
Sure.
Because today in Columbus, you're likely going to get owners. You're likely going to get presidents, general managers, coaches, coordinators, and NFL scouts for all 32 teams.
You'll get any and everybody.
And if you don't, shame on that team.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, a lot of pro days are going on, so certainly it's not a standalone. But it feels like you should send your top guys to Columbus. Your top men.
Top men should be here.
Should be here.
For the NFL. So welcome. The festivities begin around noon because that's when Joshua Perry dips out of here and we'll dip over there. Jake Trotter is going to join us at 10:30. He's going to have eyes on the prizes. Every team's got a need that an Ohio State player can fill. Yes. I lamented it for years growing up that the Browns just needed to take the best player in scarlet and gray and build off of that. And they never did. You know who did? The Pittsburgh Steelers. And I've lamented it ever since. But they've done an okay job of rectifying that. And I think they can continue that build with Carnell Tate at 6.
I mean, it feels obvious.
Yes.
But there have also been a lot of moves that felt obvious for the Browns in the past. And they like to zig when everybody else is zagging.
They love to be the smartest men, smartest top men in every room. And usually what I say to that is if you feel as though you're the smartest man in the room, you're probably in the wrong room.
Yeah, well, now, there's a conversation to be had about that.
Right, we can have that later on in the program. So the 25th, you do have a couple other big boy programs with their pro days. Alabama, Nebraska, Texas A&M, some other programs, Arizona, UCF, Wake Forest. Pretty busy through the weekend. Tomorrow, Florida, Texas Tech, TCU. It looks like Friday, Florida State, Mississippi State, Arizona State. Buffalo and Tennessee are this weekend, April 1st. Indiana.
Ooh.
April Fool's Day. You've got Fernando Mendoza working out for scouts and talent evaluators.
And he said that he didn't want to work out in Indy so he could have the most people come to see him so he could help his other draft-eligible teammates with as many eyeballs as possible.
You know what, Joshua? They call that leadership.
That's what they say.
And if you ask everybody, he's going to go number 1 overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. And that's kind of a shame because you hope for a little bit more drama there. And I think that's also an indictment on the quarterback class that we've got.
It is.
And you can also be critical of Fernando Mendoza as what is, if you're the number 1 pick, you are likely considered, I think most would say, you're the best quarterback prospect available.
Sure.
If you disagree with that take, you're not crapping on Mendoza.
Oh, no, you're a hater.
It's too much one way or the other. Like, there is a shade of gray in this.
No, there isn't. Well, the people have responded.
I dislike where that's going.
There's no gray. That's what the people are saying.
Doesn't get ratings.
Yeah, there's no gray.
Shades of gray. You got to fight one side or the other. One's right, one's wrong.
That's the problem with daily studio shows that primarily talk about football is now you get to have these conversations and nobody gets to be sensible.
We talked last hour about coaching players, coaching coaches, coaching NFL guys, but coaching the take givers. I'm interested, Joshua, to get your thoughts. And we'll have a discussion on just how those guys are coached to deliver some of the scorching hot takes that they make. I'd mentioned in the last segment that I think the 90s is the best decade. And I only say that because I was born in the 90s. You were born in the 90s. Yep. Baker had his more formidable experiences.
I grew up in the 90s.
In the 90s. Talked about nostalgia a lot on the program this week. That's where higher or lower takes us to.
Bishop and Friends present Higher or Lower.
What we've got from the Hard Times, which I had never heard of until looking this up because I was interested. And as you always think to your childhood, you think to the 90s with some of the foods that were made available. And I know food's not normally the direction that this program likes to go in, but
there's a lot of other programs that do, though.
I thought this fun today because as you've got the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 this weekend, you do have a chance to sit on your couch and snack. And I think a lot about how good snacks were in the 90s as a kid. Mm-hmm. You know, as you'll learn, you know, when your kids start doing sports, is you'll start having to provide those snacks.
Yeah.
And what the Hard Times did was ranked the best 30 90s kid snacks. At number 1 were the Cheetos Cheesy Checkers. And I don't remember these things at all. And that's partly because they were discontinued in 1998 because the excessive cheese flavoring caused migraines in consumers aged 6 and up.
All right, so before we get into this whole thing, that's why the snacks aren't as good right now. It's because everybody's on this organic, non-GMO, we can't do food dyes, right? We don't want this, we don't want that, which is fine. I think there's a place for that when it comes to health food. Health food does not taste nearly as good as junk food.
No.
But trying to make it more healthful has stolen some of the flavor that we had in the 90s.
Reese, this may be the list of that I have the most disagreements with ever.
Oh, I hate number 1 on this.
This is awful. Like, I remember these vaguely. Like, I don't remember them being around much. So, like, what? Just Cheetos. That's all you need here. You don't need the... I have huge problems with this list.
I like that.
At number 2, the Choco Taco.
I'm allergic.
To
nuts.
Okay. So you'd never obviously had one.
It looks delectable.
They were really good.
There's no way it's number 2.
But I don't ever remember craving
number 2.
A Choco Taco. At number 3, Warheads, which I would say higher on this if you're putting Warheads below Choco Taco and the cheesy Checkers from Cheetos.
I love a Warhead. Sour candy.
To this day, I'll do a blue raspberry Warhead.
I love Warheads too. They should be high. I don't know if they should be 3 on this list, but Warheads are pretty close.
I can take it at 3.
We'll start to run down this list. Gushers at 4, Bugles at 5, Butterfinger BBs at 6, Dunkaroos at 7. Higher or lower for Dunkaroos there?
So I'm not very experienced with Dunkaroos.
No?
Not in the 90s, but they made a comeback.
They have.
And delicious. I would have to say
that's my favorite.
Higher.
That's yes. Absolutely needs to be higher. I think that's number 1 on the list for me. Baker, where are you on Dunkaroos?
So this is probably pretty appropriate. I might have them a couple spots lower here because there's some things lower down on this list that I think should be way up there. I think Bugles are a good one in the top 5. Like, that was a pretty underrated snack to me.
I think the best part of Bugles was putting them on your fingertips.
If that's the best part, they're not. Then no,
I didn't like. It wasn't something that I loved eating, but like as a kid, to be able to play with your food certainly enhanced the experience.
At 8, the Kudos bar, which is kind of like a Rice crispy.
This is like
chocolate on the base.
Unhealthy granola bar.
Yeah,
it's a very sugary granola.
I don't think they ever tried. I'm hoping they never tried to market these as a health food.
They probably did.
Yeah, in the 90s. At 9, Squeeze It.
Higher.
Yes.
Higher.
Dude, I could smack like the whole pack of them. And the little bit that was in the top 2 that you had to just. That was delicious.
The top of the at 10, the Scooby-Doo gummies, which they still make and still track, probably lower than 10.
Yeah, I feel like they're just gummies in general. They're so, I don't know, like the Scooby-Doo ones, just gummy bears or gummy fruit snacks in general.
I think it was the Scooby was the attraction more than the snack was, to your point.
At 11, the Flavor Ice.
Higher.
That could be number 1. Like you go to a backyard party, a birthday party, a cookout in the summer, and you just got done running around with your friends, and you're like, boy, what would be nice right now? How about a Flavor Ice? Absolutely. Absolutely.
When we do our yearly trek to Florida with all of my friends in the summer, my buddy's dad and my buddy will dress up in some kind of goofy kid's costume, and they will buy like 250 Flavor Ices and pass them out to all the kids on the beach and everybody at our place.
My favorite thing about the Flavor Ice is when you would have 2 different flavors, because we weren't just eating one Flavor Ice. I always judged the kids, and this because I was a fat kid who just had the one Flavor Ice. I'm like, what do you do? You have to have 2. You have to have a different flavor for each of the 2. You get a different experience each time.
And as you got
like 8 of
older,
them.
Putting some alcohol in there and doing the boozy Flavor Ice.
So that to
undefeated.
Me is why this should be much higher. Is as an adult, you have figured out a way to make it a more enjoyable novelty. Like it stands the test of time.
I'll hear Flavor Ice is a top 90 snack. And for those unaware, it's the tube popsicle that
in like the little plastic
neon liquid at first, and then you freeze it and it becomes a wonderful fruit pop. At 12, the Hostess fruit pies.
Those were ass. I did not enjoy them.
Not a top 30 snack.
So I'm not going to lie. My dad would probably have these number 1 on his list. I always enjoyed the chocolate one. They had a chocolate, even though it's not a fruit pie, they had a chocolate pie. I thought that one was good, but.
At 13, the best high C flavor, Ecto Cooler.
I'm here for that
They did in partnership with the Ghostbusters cartoon show, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's got to be higher.
The flavor's the best. That's the best high C flavor. I was a Capri Sun kid, though. So I did not a whole lot of Ecto Coolers, not a whole lot of high C, not a whole lot of those little hugs you got in the plastic barrels. Most Capri Suns.
To this day, the little hugs are undefeated for me.
The fact that we have not got to Capri Sun yet on this is criminal.
I'm trying to scroll through because the one thing I'll argue and I'll fight you over are the best gummy were the Shark Bites.
Shark Bites were.
They have that 14th on this list.
Yeah,
so I'm glad that there's an honorable mention, I would say, but should be a top 10 90 snack of all time. Baker, just real quick as we got to wrap this, anything that you missed should be on or higher?
So you have the Cosmic Brownie on here at 15. I would think that is a little higher. And then on page 1, we talked about Capri Sun. I think that's way higher. I think Lunchables should be a top 5. I mean, they've stood the test of time. They're still around there. The Push Pops, the Ring Pop, the Hugs. I mean, there's so many good ones on here. Planters Cheese Balls. I mean, there's this list I feel like is inverted. I feel like 30 through the 20s is the top. And
I'll post where we got the list at 971 BFS. Also, there's still time to get your Hey Guys questions into the YouTube chat or at 971 BFS on Twitter. We'll get back into some serious conversation. What is Arthur Smith's offense, or I guess, what does Arthur Smith's seasoning look like on this Ohio State offense? You'll hear from Ohio State's offensive coordinator coming up next. Bishop and Friends on The Fan.
Wake up with The Fan. Eat lunch with The Fan. Go to bed with The Fan. Dream about The Fan. Then change your sheets. Gross.
Ew, you guys are gross, but stick around in case I don't find anyone else.
The Fan.
Veterans and active duty service members. When your call to service ends, your mission doesn't have to. Go from GI to IT in just a few months at My Computer Career. Prepare for a high-demand career in cybersecurity. protecting people, systems, and institutions from real cyber threats. Cyber warriors are needed now. Will you answer the call? Go to mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to learn more. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner. VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
It's 2026, the year you achieve your health goals. The Good Feet store wants to help. Trade in your bad feet for good feet. We want to help you walk, run, exercise, and play in comfort this year. Visit the Good Feet store on Polaris Parkway near the Polaris Mall or on Stringtown Road in Grove City.
Common Man here for Jermaine. Everybody's talking about affordability when buying a car these days, but the truth is, GoJermaine.com has a great selection of affordable inventory. Maybe that tax return's going to hit your mailbox pretty soon. Well, go see my friends because they have 300 new cars under 30 grand, over 300 used cars under 20 grand, and it's only at GoJermaine.com. And along with their $1,000 price promise, no one's going to sell you a car for less. Get started at GoJermaine.com.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. You know, spring cleaning is a thing that happens in the spring. Go figure, it's in the name. But as you're getting rid of some stuff in your house that you no longer need, doesn't work right, or you never should have had in the first place, why don't you add your windows to that list? Yeah, your windows may have bad insulation. That's why they let in the cold air in the winter and the warm air in the summer. Makes your home less energy efficient. It's costing you money every single month. With Window Nation, you get high-quality, energy-efficient products at a great price. All of Window Nation's products are backed by a lifetime warranty, and right now is a great time to upgrade. The more you buy, the more you save in March. Up to 50% off all window styles from Window Nation. Plus, there's great financing options, including $0 down, 0% interest for 60 months, and payments as little as $199 a month. The first step is getting a consultation with Window Nation so they can find the problem areas in your house. I'm going to guess they're near the windows. So schedule that consultation for free today at windownation.com. Once again, that's windownation.com.
What's bigger than a three-pointer in a clutch play? Saving thousands on a new Lindsay Honda now.
Slam dunk a deal with 0% financing for 72 months on 2025 Honda Pilot and Ridgeline. If you're serious about saving big, now's the time. Want better MPG? Drive a new 2026 Civic Sport, just $199 a month. March is on during the Honda Spring Event. Time to score big.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference.
Visit lindsayhonda.com for details. Rothman and Ice.
I can't watch horror movies, but there was something about the Saw movies.
What movies?
What did I say? Horror.
Two syllables.
Horror. Thank you.
Rothman and Ice. Weekdays at noon.
Sponsored by Pella Columbus.
The Fan.
When we designed our Columbus Blue Jacket ticket plans, we designed them for fans like you. For fans who want to choose their games and their seats, and fans who need flexibility when their plans change. Columbus Blue Jacket season ticket plans. Get your tickets now at bluejackets.com.
Springtime is here, and you know what that means? It's time for Mulch Madness. Did you know that too much mulch is bad for trees and shrubs? 2 inches of mulch is plenty. Any more and you risk causing roots to grow up and around trunks, which increases unhealthy stress, shortens tree life, and even keeps moisture from getting down to tree roots. To find out more about Mulch Madness, or to find a certified arborist near you, visit treesforohio.org. That's trees, the number 4, ohio.org.
Some foot issues just can't be fixed by those expensive shoe stores or shoe inserts. A foot exam from a doctor of podiatric medicine, who is the medical expert in foot and ankle care, may give solutions after doing a complete foot examination. If you suffer from foot, heel, or ankle pain, let us help you find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association so you know you are being treated by the very best.
For more information or to find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit ohiofoot.org.
Fan Traffic is sponsored by Care Heating and Cooling.
Care Heating and Cooling. When you need a company you can trust, call 1-800-COOLING.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Partly sunny skies and highs getting into the mid-60s, and then for tonight, mostly cloudy overnight with our lows in the mid to low 50s. For Thursday, an isolated chance of showers and storms, otherwise partly sunny, warm, and windy with highs getting in the mid to upper 70s. Chances of storms develop late Thursday overnight into Friday, some which could be strong with heavy downpours and gusty winds. For The Fan, I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfalo with the 10 Weather Impact Forecast.
Common Man, a radio veteran, has a large hemorrhoid. Timmy Hall, a good, clean boy, moonlights as man's hemorrhoid. Common Man and Timmy.
Weekdays at 3.
The Fan. If you you say something with enough confidence, it must be true. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Yes, you are. Jake Trotter will join us in about 10 minutes. ESPN's senior college football reporter is in Columbus this morning for Ohio State's Pro Day that starts at around noon. Noon-ish was the gist that I got from asking around yesterday. Again, a floating time because they have to wait for Joshua Perry, Olentangy's finest, to walk into the Woody Hayes Athletic Center.
They shouldn't.
But they will. And probably for others as travel around the country is bonkers, to say the least.
Did you see the lines, the videos of the lines at CMH?
I saw the most recent one from John Glenn.
Yeah.
Not great.
And I've actually seen lines like that a few times early, and usually pre-check or clear has a short line. But that probably is the longest that I would have seen it. And I'll say that was nothing compared to videos that I've seen from. I had a friend who was in Atlanta yesterday.
I can't imagine the chaos there.
LaGuardia.
Chaos.
LaGuardia was closed down.
Yeah, well, that was
a horrible accident on
very
Monday.
Unfortunate situation, but they opened up and the lines are insane.
So funny thing is, I have a friend that's actually he was at LaGuardia this morning, and he took a picture, and the line was nothing. It was normal. He said he had no problem, got through in like 7 minutes.
Oh, that's a blessing.
So they may have got to work there and taken care of business, but yeah, he showed a picture of it and everything and said it was perfectly fine.
Well, anybody who's traveling, I hope that
our thoughts with them.
Yeah, your travels are smooth because it's crazy out here.
We got this from Scott on Twitter. How about Arthur Smith going against Matt Patricia's defense? Will we see it in the spring game? I think you're going to see it. I think it's going to be one of the cooler things to look out for.
They're not going to see anything in the spring game.
You don't think you'll see anything at all?
They're going to see base defense and they're going to see base offense. These coaches, and this is not to be offensive, are some of the most paranoid people that I've ever met. Everywhere I've been, they're all super paranoid, and they want the engagement of the spring game. And they want to give fans something to enjoy that's cheaper than trying to get into these stadiums during the season, which I think is very important. They also know that everybody is going to watch the TV copy if it's broadcast, and they don't want to give anything away.
These are the same coaches that were worried people were going to pillage their roster in the portal if they played a spring game.
Well, now, allegedly, no portal movement in the spring, so people are doing the spring games again now, thankfully.
It's a rite of passage in this community to have the Ohio State spring game kind of be the unofficial start to spring. I know spring begins on the calendar before it, but you really didn't feel it until you got to Ohio Stadium the second or third Saturday in April for what was growing up one of the coolest things you got to do.
Yeah.
Because back in my day, they had Ohio Stadium open all the time. And so growing up in Arlington, you took as many opportunities as you could to jet on down and just walk around the stadium, throw the football on the field. And for the spring game, you could just pop in and pop out, and it was Ohio State football.
Yeah.
And so I was really concerned last year when they tried to change the verbiage of it and they tried to make it something different. And I felt really for the fan bases like Nebraska, like Oklahoma, who just said, we're going to do these nonsensical games.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was, I understand the reason why coaches wanted to shift what they were doing, but it's so hard to get to a game. Traffic's insane.
Yeah.
We're lucky. Like, Columbus is a big city. Like, you can get hotels. There's plenty to do outside of a game. A lot of college towns are outposts. And so that's kind of the only thing. And so difficult getting there. It's expensive to go in. You can't really take a family. And the idea of having that spring where you get to see your favorite players, and, a lot of them are waiting around after the game outside the stadium, by the way, and you can get an autograph. You can take a photo. That stuff is huge. It's huge, especially for the young fans. Like, that's how you build true fans up through the years.
Yeah, those are the moments that really define your fandom in life, or those moments early on. Reese, what lasted longer, Boomer or Spring Showcase?
I think it was Boomer.
Neither of them had a long shelf life.
Neither of them, and for understandable and for good reason. But I do think Boomer had a little bit, because, again, Ohio State, I think, started to see, when you mess with the verbiage, like, people don't know what they're paying for.
Yeah.
When people don't know what they're paying for, they're not going to pay for it.
Yeah.
And so a mascot that you've already created with the suit, it's like, well, we got to see how much we can get out of this for the spring showcase thing. It was a quick pivot because I'm not paying for a spring showcase, but I'll pay for a spring game because I know what that is.
Yeah.
Now, to your point about, the type of defense, the type of offense that's going to be shown, I think for the spring game, it's just going to be this is awesome. Ohio State football's back. We love all of this. Then as you kind of get into the summer and into the fall, then you'll really start to, because Ohio State does a great job at opening up its practices, and you get video from the media members at maybe half of the practices that they have in the fall, really kind of just seeing how Arthur Smith is going to put his stamp on what is the Ryan Day offense. Here's Ohio State's offensive coordinator talking yesterday about getting up to speed with what Ryan Day wants to do on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, that's the little bit of thing you pride yourself. We're always talking to players about, growing, having that growth mindset, getting out of your comfort zone. And for me, it was a good challenge of where I'm at in my career. And just the nuances, the rules are a little bit different. The spacing, too, the hashes are wider. So just a lot of film evaluation. It helps guys that have been here on the staff, and you're picking their brain and watching a lot of tape. And you figure it out. And so kind of adapt to certain things.
It's cool to hear just how his brain works, because there's probably not a whole lot of install going on right now. But there is, for Arthur, a chance to understand who he's got to work with, a chance to understand how things went for a lot of these guys last season, places that they can grow, and then understanding how actually the little intricacies between the pro game and the college game.
No doubt. And I think when you mentioned earlier that he went back, watched all the games, what you're supposed to do when you come in, but the idea of getting familiar with personnel that way, and, he's probably got outside thoughts. Like everybody in that building, unfortunately, kind of sees things in a similar way after a while. And so you bring in this new guy who comes from a different level of football, and he's looking at personnel and seeing, well, maybe this guy we could utilize in a different way, or we use this guy really well in these concepts. Maybe we can put a little bit more on his plate. And we can do all these things within the same framework of Ryan Day's offense. That's what excites me about it. And I've mentioned it a couple of times this week, but this idea of different thoughts and different thought processes, and being able to challenge the head coach of, we've done all of these things well. What about if we just did this and maybe tweak this? Now we might be cooking on a different level.
Yeah, just the kind of football conversations that are happening between Arthur and Julian, Arthur and Ryan. It's something you'd love to be a fly on the wall for, because that's the highest level that it gets.
I mean, I would love to see if there are any times where the two coordinators get together in a room and, Matt Patricia saying, all right, this is the defense that I'm thinking about. How would you attack this?
Right.
And they try to poke holes in each other's concepts. That would be amazing.
That would be that would be something I think you could film.
Tell you what, an NIL opportunity for Ohio State football.
Yes,
you can sell it.
You could watch that, because you've got two brilliant minds, but just because they're on one side of the ball. And remember, Matt Patricia was an offensive coordinator at one time. He's done both. But when you design a defense, where the holes are and what an offense might be able to do, and vice versa with offense and defense. So that would be just a fascinating conversation, and two things that will only make both of those coaches in these Buckeye teams better.
It would be so much fun. We never get to see it, but it would be so much fun if we could. And the other thing to that point is when Ryan, Patricia, and Arthur Smith all get into a room together, and Ryan's asking them questions of, when you were a head coach, how did you handle this? Right? Like, that to me is the other part of this. It's not just their expertise as coordinators. These guys have been head coaches at the highest level, and I think there's something that everybody can learn from that. The whole thing to me, outside of being on the practice field, I think is what intrigues me the most about the setup.
I do wonder, as the NFL descends upon Columbus, if all of the guys coming for Pro Day today from an NFL franchise, if they just know Matt and Arthur, if it's just a first-name basis.
Yeah.
And it probably is.
Yeah.
Jake Trotter, we're on a first-name basis on this show. ESPN senior college football reporter joins us in 2 minutes. It's Bishop and Friends on The Fan.
Bacon, sausage, egg, cheese, made from scratch biscuits, fresh baked croissants, cinnamon swirl French toast. Hungry? Grab a hot UDF breakfast sandwich made in store for your morning. UDF, mornings made for you.
Hey folks, it's Austin Ward here. They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, so I'd like to thank Byrne for seeing me lose 50 pounds with Awaken 180 and deciding to copy off my paper. It's no secret. The program works. Awaken180weightloss.com.
March Madness is here again, and so is a Great Clips $12.99 haircut coupon. From dominating the bracket pool to demolishing game day snacks, Great Clips gets that March is every fan's favorite month. And with a $12.99 haircut coupon, your hair can be as ready for the action as you are. Grab a $12.99 haircut coupon now at greatclips.com/March Madness. Great Clips, official hair salon of March Madness. Valid only at participating U.S. salons. Terms apply. March Madness is a trademark of the National Collegiate Athletic Association.
It's a new month and a new reason to visit Germain Honda of Dublin. Right now, take advantage of great low rates on select certified pre-owned models all month long. You'll get the reliability you trust, the value you want, and payments that make sense. And the wait is over. The all-new Honda Prelude has arrived with precision suspension and responsive hybrid performance. Great rates, awesome vehicles. Only at Germain Honda of Dublin. They're on Sawmill Road, just south of 270, or online at germainhondaofdublin.com.
Oh, what? Just cleared that drain last week. At the Waterworks, we mean clean, which means we don't just clear your drain, we actually clean it. Get your drains good as new with the Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results.
Columbus has a new football team, the Aviators. UFL football lands April 3rd. Be there for our home opener at historic Crew Stadium. Don't miss it. Get your tickets now at uflaviators.com. That's uflaviators.com. United, we fly.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for almost 80 years. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Let me introduce you to a man with a magnificent salt and pepper beard. A man who's currently roasting lamb on a spit. A man who runs the Rocky River Greek Festival. That man is Jake Trotter.
And we go to him live near Columbus. ESPN senior college football reporter joins us on the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. Good morning, Jake. When you arrive at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, who's the one player you've got your eye on more than any of the 17 working out today?
Well, it kind of depends what everybody does. Do we know what everybody's doing yet? It's kind of a mystery with some
TBD
of them, right?
for a lot of them, actually, yeah.
So, like, if Carnell Tate runs, that would probably be the biggest noteworthy item, just given what his time was at the Combine. Like, if you're Sonny Styles, I don't even think I take a step. I just stand in the same spot the entire pro day. Like, I don't even move because he was so phenomenal in Indy. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I think we're looking at 4 top 10 guys in Arvell, Caleb, Carnell, and Sonny. You know, you're going to have potentially other first-round picks, notably Cade McDonald. This is going to be a fabulous Buckeye draft class, and continues the recent streak where they're just producing pros at a pretty much unrivaled level compared to the rest of college football.
You mentioned some of the top guys there, and it feels to me like if none of them worked out, I think they would all be fine. We know what they are at this point, but you got some other guys who were really productive players for Ohio State, like Davis and Igbinosun. You've got Max Clare in the mix and many others. How much buzz do you think they can generate by going out and having a good workout today?
Yeah, I was talking about Igbinosun yesterday, actually. Because somebody like the Browns, they sneakily need a corner. It's not going to be a first-round pick, but maybe on day 2. I think there are a lot of intriguing corners that could be there day 2. Cisse from South Carolina. You look at D'Angelo Pons from Indiana, who had a terrific season. So I think, Igbinosun is in that category, and he would fit somebody like the Browns pretty well because, he can go one-on-one, he can press man, which is the way they like to play. So it might be a situation where it's, okay, who's the best fit for the type of scheme, we're going to run? Do we need an outside corner? Do we need a guy that can play on the inside a little bit? I think all that is going to factor into, where these guys end up. But I think Igbinosun in particular could be a second-round pick because you need corners, and he's played a ton of football at this point. He'll get a little grabby. He'll commit some penalties, but I think back to that Penn State game and some of the plays he made. That was 2024, right? Mm-hmm. He's made some big plays throughout his career, and I think he's a guy that could be an NFL starter despite being a day 2 pick. Max Clare, pass-catching tight end. I mean, those guys those guys are needed across the league. Even if he's a number 2, that's a guy that I think will be coveted on day 2 as well. So, yeah, I think that, again, you could have – so is that 7, 8 Ohio State guys that could go before the end of the second round? Is that right? Am I forgetting anybody?
No, that sounds about right to me.
Yeah.
Jake, how much stock do you think NFL teams put into these pro days, especially for the guys at the top of the draft?
Yeah, I don't think it makes a huge difference. Sometimes, if there is a guy runs a little bit better, or if there's like some big concern with testing that comes from Indy, you can clean it up a little bit at pro day. Mostly, it's most beneficial for the guys who, are coming off major injuries that maybe missed, part or all of their senior or junior seasons, and then, not healthy enough to do much at the combine. I think like Drew Aller, for example, who, is still working his way back, had kind of the, disastrous final season at Penn State. He can show that, hey, I can still throw the ball as well as anybody in this draft at his pro day. And so I don't know. There's not really anyone from Ohio State that fits that bill. And, a lot of these guys, have a decent amount of tape at this point. Sonny Styles has been a 2-year starter at linebacker after moving around moving over from safety. Carl Tate has played a ton of football at this point. Arvell, maybe less so. And maybe there's still a little bit of deliberation around the league. Is he an off-ball? Is he a hybrid? Is he a full-time edge? Caleb Downs has basically played every down since part of the punt since he, arrived at Alabama. So I think for the guys that have played a ton of football and have a lot of tape and don't have any lingering injury concerns, I think there's going to be a ton of NFL personnel at this event today. And I think as much as anything, it's just to, get another chance in front of these guys and talk to these guys and just make sure you're checking every box as you go into your war rooms and you tier these players out and kind of go through scenarios on who might be available when you pick.
ESPN's Jake Trotter joins us about 90 minutes out from Ohio State's pro day at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. Jake, we had kind of compared what's happening today to a boxing fight where you have the 17 players that are going to be working out that want to hear their names called in about 29 days. There's also kind of a preliminary card with Jeremiah Smith and with Julian Sain. Are those two guys that you would think would want to work out today or just help out their teammates more?
Do we know who's throwing to Carnell?
Signs point to Julian.
Yeah, typically it's the incumbent starting quarterback. So that's an opportunity for him to show what he can do. I think if you're Julian, it's an opportunity you want to take for sure. And yeah, I don't know. Jeremiah is going to be around. He is. I don't want to say he's in contention to be the number 1 pick in 2027 because it's shaping up to be a pretty prolific quarterback draft. But I think it's fair to say he's got as good a chance as anybody to be the first non-quarterback to go off the board in 2027. And I remember talking to scouts and executives at the combine last year after his freshman season, his true freshman season when he had the game-clinching catch against Notre Dame. And there was at least one GM who said, I would take Jeremiah Smith number 1 today. That's in last year's draft. So, he's obviously going to be the gem of 2027 at the wide receiver position and maybe just overall as long as he can stay healthy. And, yeah, this is an opportunity again for, your GM. Oh, I didn't mean to bump into you, Jeremiah. How's it going? And just want to look you over and maybe we'll see you next year.
All right, let's take a look at the current roster as the Ohio State Buckeyes have resumed spring practice. You've got a new offensive coordinator in Arthur Smith and certainly some things to work on. It was an offense that played well for a majority of the year, but the offensive line started to become a question in protection. Maybe run game left some something to be desired for some of the fans. What do you think is priority number 1 for Ohio State offensively in spring practice?
Yeah, I think Arthur Smith is a very talented run designer, run schemer, run play coordinator. I go back, obviously what he did, Tennessee, Derrick Henry, but I was still covering the Browns at the time. I remember they played in Atlanta. Arthur Smith was still there, and I think they handed the ball off to, Tyler Algier. There was another running back there who I can't even remember who it was, and then what was the kind of the hybrid returner who ended up at Pittsburgh and didn't do much, but they didn't really have like a dominant number one running back, and they just ran off tackle at the Browns every play down the field for a touchdown. And it was always kind of stuck with me. And the Steelers with Jaylen Warren last year and Kenneth Gainwell were running the ball really well. So I think if you're Bo Jackson, you got to be really excited about the arrival of Arthur Smith and how they can get back to the running game that was so punishing during the national championship run with Quinshawn and Travion. So I think that's where, especially early on in the season, against Texas in particular, like, can they run the ball on those guys? Because last year it just kind of came and went too often. And, the offensive line as well. Like, they've got a lot of experience coming back, but let's face it, like, the offensive line, it got pushed around in that Miami game. And, we're nitpicking, but if you're going to win a national championship, like, you can't get pushed around up front by somebody like Miami, even though, they're going to have 2 top 15 edge rushers probably picked in Akeem Messidor and Ruben Bain.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if anybody can present a front like Indiana and then Miami in consecutive games against Ohio State in 2026. Jake Trotter, our guest. Jake, thanks so much for the time this morning. Enjoy Columbus. If I can recommend a place, Buckeye Donuts on either your way in or your way out has excellent donuts and gyros.
So when I was here for the first day of practice, they had Buckeye Donuts set up in the Woody.
Good job out of them.
I'm a huge fan. I don't know if I need to be eating donuts right now, but if I were, I would definitely go there. It's a legit place.
All right, bud. Enjoy the festivities today. We'll catch up with you next week.
All right. See you guys.
And he joins us courtesy again of the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. We'll do Thing or Not a Thing coming up next. Bishop and Friends on the Fan.
Unlike your deadbeat uncle, we'll never leave you stranded in a ditch when you were 6. This promo may have been a touch too specific. The Fan.
File with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They help you get your biggest refund, and then they help you do more with it. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
Hey folks, Jason Horwitz here with a Sweet 16 update. The men's regional round ramps up tomorrow, followed by the women's regionals on Friday. For the men, Thursday's schedule is missing the South 1 seed, but has some great matchups. And the West region features the only double-digit seed still alive, with the first 4 surviving 11-seeded Texas Longhorns. Don't miss any of the action with Westwood One's exclusive coverage of the NCAA tournaments right here.
Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. The service is free and provides a report with solutions verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we could recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Call the folks at Buckeye, night or day.
The water's standing in the tub. My toilets will not flush. The smell's getting bad in here. I need help in a rush.
Clogged drain, no problem. It's 93 or free. I'll clear any drain or you don't pay with a 1-year guarantee.
It's 93 or free. Guaranteed.
Call 614-683-9911. Call the folks at Buckeye, night or day.
When you've thrown over 4,000 innings like I have, you know joint pain isn't a maybe, it's a guarantee. For you, was it climbing ladders or too much heavy lifting? Hey, we're all in the same boat. But surgery, that was never my answer.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens knows there's a better way. That's QC Kinetics regenerative treatments that help your body heal itself. No scalpels, no fake fixes, just real relief.
What I love about QC Kinetics, these are the most respected medical pros in the country that specialize in non-surgical therapies to get you moving again.
Don't mask the pain, fix it. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation.
I trusted QC Kinetics. You should too.
Call QC Kinetics today and schedule your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. 380-208-4544.
Common Man here for Jermaine. Everybody's talking about affordability when buying a car these days, but the truth is, GoJermaine.com has a great selection of affordable inventory. Maybe that tax return's going to hit your mailbox pretty soon. Well, go see my friends because they have 300 new cars under 30 grand, over 300 used cars under 20 grand, and it's only at GoJermaine.com. And along with their $1,000 price promise, no one's going to sell you a car for less. Get started at GoJermaine.com.
In the old days when people lived to be 40, you only had one option for listening to your favorite show. But now, ooh, baby, radio, podcast, the Fan app, and YouTube, just to name a few, live or on demand. You have no excuses. The Fan.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. If you or anyone in your family has been injured in a car accident, call us now, as the time to file a claim may be limited. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before, protecting America, fighting for you. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial pound law.
Morgan & Morgan, Ohio office located at 600 Vine Street, Cincinnati. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
If your roof is leaking, you don't need a sales pitch. You need answers. I'm Bill Schmidt with Brothers Roofing and Construction, a local certified contractor helping homeowners across central and southern Ohio solve real problems. No pressure, just honest work done right.
Hothead Burritos' new Abrazo fish taco is in season. Wild-caught Alaskan pollock, creamy queso, zesty Southwest sauce, and cool avocado lime. Catch your new Abrazo fish taco now for a limited time at Hothead Burritos. Get up and get you some.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Weston Air Heating and Cooling and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep you and your home comfortable. The Fan.
The show that understands the importance of a situational beverage. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Yes, you are. Eric Reeser, Joshua Perry, Ryan Baker on a First Friday edition of the program. You talk about a situational beverage. There is a baseball game tonight that counts in the regular season. I do not consider it opening day.
Why?
Because it's the Yankees and the Dodgers, and it's on Netflix. So it's paywalled. You can't paywall opening day in baseball, in my opinion. You shouldn't paywall baseball at all.
All right.
It should be available for free TV, but it's a standalone thing that I don't know how many people are going to gravitate to outside of those fan bases, Joshua.
I think we have an aversion to streamers generally as a society, and I understand why. Because everybody decided that once people started cutting cords, we'll just stream everything, and we'll charge you different prices for different packages. But for a long time, you had to pay for sports anyway. Like if you watch the game on ESPN, you're paying for sports. It was just always wrapped up into whatever plan you got with your cable provider. So this idea of Netflix coming in, which by the way, I very few people I know that don't have Netflix.
No, everybody's got it.
Right. But like the idea that you would have to pay in order to watch a game isn't a foreign concept. I just don't think that we like the idea of having to have a Netflix and an Apple because they've got baseball on Fridays, and I'm sure NBC's going to put some of their Sunday games on Peacock, probably their Sunday leadoff or whatever it is. And just all the different streamers that are involved bothers us. But when you were paying for your sports tier on whatever cable package you had, that's what you were doing. We just unbundled the bundle.
Stop making sense of this. And also, we love Peacock around here. Big Peacock NBC fans.
I do. I don't know about the rest of
the Pirates and the Mets tomorrow at 1:15. I think that game will also be on NBC as the Peacock does return to Major League broadcasts. I think that, like with last year, they had it was the Cubs, I think, and the Dodgers in Japan. A week before everybody else started, and that was not opening day. But the games counted to your regular season record.
Sure.
I just think if you want to have opening day, all the teams play on the same day. They get one big baseball extravaganza because this one-off on Netflix just feels flat.
What the NFL has done.
Well, you can't compare the two, Joshua.
You can't, but they stretch you out for a week damn near before you get to Sunday.
I think it was Sid Vicious, Psycho Sid, who's going to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Like he did the torture rack, and he'd stretch you out. That's what the NFL's doing to the consumer.
That's what they're
and they're
doing.
going to keep doing it, and we love it.
Thing or not a thing?
Sponsored by Billiards Plus. Find your next grill and everything you need for the master griller. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
That's why a couple of these thing or not a things are going to be NFL related. Starbucks scrappler Jordan Schultz of Bleacher Report reported yesterday free agent wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. has received renewed interest in recent days after his showing at Tom Brady's Fanatics flag football game. Beckham was one of the most impressive players on the field and fully intends to play in 2026 per sources, end quote. 33-year-old Beckham said he hoped the flag football showcase would serve as a starting point for an NFL return. He appeared in 9 games for the Dolphins in 2024 after knee surgery. He was not on an NFL roster last year, but he was suspended 6 games for PEDs. Thing or not a thing?
It's not a thing. This is not a thing whatsoever. I know we're going to talk about this wild media thing that people do. This was definitely a, hey, if you tweet this, the next time I have some real news, I'll let you break it from an agent. That's what this is, okay? And so now, oh, well, there's renewed interest because he ran around in shorts and a T-shirt with a flag around his waist in a game that is not even the same as the game that he would be playing. I'm not buying it. This is not a thing.
No, this is not a thing. There's a reason this guy wasn't on an NFL roster anymore, and it's because the headache far outweighs what he gives you on the field. I will argue, Joshua, that Odell Beckham is one of the most overrated players in the history of the NFL because of one catch on Sunday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys. The guy never contributed to a winning team. He helped destroy maybe the best roster that the Cleveland Browns have had in a long time since they've been back. And I just feel there's a lot of fluff and no substance with Odell Beckham. And again, like I said, there's a reason this guy wasn't on a team.
All sizzle, no steak. These are the takes that I actually enjoy, where you can, because I feel like there are multiple guys where you can point to a play like that and it makes their career. But what happened before and after? And to your point, he's either been a cancer in the locker room or injured and therefore not productive. I don't see it.
Now, I saw this week that maybe Jarvis Landry would like to return to the league, who was Odell's best friend. Jarvis Landry, way better wide receiver in the NFL to me than Odell Beckham.
Also a guy you would like to have in your locker room.
This from the Department of Corrections. Sid Vicious had a power bomb as his finisher. It was Lex Luger that had the torture rack. Giannis Antetokounmpo has played just 36 games this season for the Bucks. Milwaukee reportedly wants to shut him down because of a hyperextended knee and bone bruise he suffered on March 15th. The problem is, Giannis wants to play regardless of where Milwaukee sits in the standings. That standoff has grown kind of contentious, even so that the NBA Players Association released a statement accusing Milwaukee of tanking. Quote, the player participation policy was designed by the league to hold teams accountable and ensure that when an all-star like Giannis is healthy and ready to play, he is on the court. Unfortunately, anti-tanking policies are only as effective as their enforcement. Fans, broadcast partners, and the integrity of the game itself will continue to suffer as long as ownership goes unchecked. We look forward to collaborating with the NBA on meaningful new proposals that will directly address and discourage tanking, end quote. Thing or not a thing?
This is a thing for 2 reasons. Is number one, I love the idea of the PA basically being like, this is a problem. We all know it's a problem. We've created rules about this. The other thing that stands out to me is this isn't a situation where it's like Giannis can't play, or a situation where he might be healthy and is just like, we're out of it. I don't want to play. This is a situation where he's like, no, put me back out there. And they're like, now that knee, like, you're good. And it's wild to me that you would tell one of your best players, like, I know you want to play and we're paying you a lot of money, but we're still not going to let you do it because you want to tank. Like, professional sports to me can be so unserious at times, and this is one of those examples.
I do think sometimes players need to be protected from themselves because they're going to go out there and risk further injuring themselves because they're competitors and they want to play. But if you have a guy that is cleared all his medicals and you just don't want him in your lineup right now because that would hurt your draft stock, there should be fines and punishments for the team. I don't know what those be, whether you take away a draft pick or you find them a substantial amount of money. But if Giannis is perfectly healthy and he wants to play, he should be out there. And maybe perfectly healthy is not the right word, because I don't know if any of these athletes in this point of their season is perfectly healthy. But if there is no risk of him doing further harm to himself, he should be out there.
Just real quick, because we haven't gotten to too much Blue Jackets talk today. They beat the Flyers in Philadelphia 3-2 last night. This from friend of the program, Aaron Portzline. Since Rick Bowness took over on January 12th, the Blue Jackets have allowed just 40 5-on-5 goals in 26 games. That amounts to 1.54 goals per game, the lowest in the NHL in terms of 5-on-5 goals in that span. Thing or not a thing?
Well, I'm going to say that's a thing. It's phenomenal. And once again, the thing that stands out to me with that is this is not a team that's like static, grind you. Like the puck is moving around the ice there. And so it's just that intensity. We talked about the bonus bump, and the stats all indicate that it's real.
His very first press conference here, he said there were 3 things that he thought he could help fix with this team. One was high slot danger chances. 1 was shots against, and 3 was goals against. He has done all of those things and more. It is absolutely a thing.
A special prize for our favorite Hey Guys comes up next. Bishop and Friends on the Fan.
The radio couldn't contain us, so we've taken over YouTube. Catch Morning Juice weekday mornings at 6 by searching 971 The Fan. Do it.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Tired of snoring? Dr. Mark Levy can help with a custom mouthpiece that opens your airway and stops the snoring. No mask, no noise. Call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or visit sleepbettercolumbus.com today. Stop snoring. Sleep better. Live better.
Veterans and active duty service members. When your call to service ends, your mission doesn't have to. Go from GI to IT in just a few months at My Computer Career. Prepare for a high-demand career in cybersecurity, protecting people, systems, and institutions from real cyber threats. Cyber warriors are needed now. Will you answer the call? Go to mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to learn more. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner. VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
What's bigger than a three-pointer in a clutch play? Saving thousands on a new Lindsay Honda now.
Slam dunk a deal with 0% financing for 72 months on 2025 Honda Pilot and Ridgeline. If you're serious about saving big, now's the time. Want better MPG? Drive a new 2026 Civic Sport, just $199 a month. March is on during the Honda Spring Event. Time to score big.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference.
Visit lindsayhonda.com for details.
Factory direct is really pretty simple. The factory sells it directly to the consumer. I mean, we build it. There's nothing that anybody else does. We have stations where everybody touches the window. Everyone sees what's going on. So if there's an issue, we catch it as it's going down the line. That's probably the biggest thing, is the ability to make sure what goes out the door is what I want to out the door.
Visit Rosati Windows and get 35% off all windows and doors by March 31st.
Hey folks, it's Austin Ward here. They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So I'd like to thank Berm for seeing me lose 50 pounds with Awaken 180 and deciding to copy off my paper. It's no secret, the program works. Awaken180weightloss.com.
Hey, it's Anthony, and I've got my own good feet story. I fought plantar fasciitis for a while. That's that horrible heel pain that seems to come out of nowhere. And not being on my feet was not ever going to be an option for me. I did all the home remedies, rolling the tennis ball under my feet. And the relief never really stuck until I went to the Good Feet store, where I was personally fitted with Good Feet arch supports based on my feet and arch size and the goals I have for my lifestyle. As soon as I popped them in my shoes, I could feel the difference. And now every day, my feet feel good. My knees, my hips, my back, they all feel supported and so much better aligned. I've complained about my back for years, but guess what? Nobody's heard me talk like that in a long time. These are a game changer for me every day. They're in my shoes to work out, to go to work, and soon in my golf shoes. The journey to feeling my pain go away has been nothing short of awesome, and just feeling the support I get puts me in a great mood. So stop in, either at their store in Grove City or on Polaris Parkway in Westerville, or get started right now at goodfeet.com.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a staff accountant at the height of tax season.
Congrats, looks like the company owes, $50 in taxes. How about that?
That seems low. Why only 50?
Why do you care so much? It's not your money.
This is the time for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-791-0000. That's 800-791-0000.
The new Omaha Steak Store is now open at 1033 Polaris Parkway at Polaris Commons. Stop in today and save 50% store-wide on legendary steaks, burgers, and more. Plus, get doorbuster deals starting at just $19.99. Discover the Omaha Steaks difference today at the new store at Polaris Commons in Columbus.
Thanks to your support, the nonprofits VetTix and First Tix have given away tens of millions of tickets and counting to vets currently serving military, the immediate family of troops killed in action, and our brave current and former first responders. These tickets are a meaningful way to say thank you to America's heroes. And now we want you to be part of the mission. Got extra tickets to concerts, games, or special events? Or want to see if you qualify? We want you to go to vettix.org and firsttix.org today. Give something to those who gave.
Hey, it's T-Bone again. Listen up. Sleep apnea doesn't have to rule your nights. Dr. Mark Levy's been treating snoring and sleep apnea for over 15 years with proven results. And now he has an office in Marysville. Call 1-800-MORE-SLEEP or go to sleepbettercolumbus.com. Stop snoring, sleep better, live better.
Broadcasting live from the McDaniel GM Superstore Studios. Driving excellence since 1916. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. WBNS HD1 Columbus.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. 17 Buckeyes will work to improve their draft stock today as Ohio State's going to hold the annual Pro Day about an hour from now at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. More than 150 NFL personnel will be on hand in advance of the NFL Draft. That's 29 days from today in Pittsburgh. Ryan Day and company will resume spring practices Thursday. Buckeyes will hold the annual spring game on April 18th. In NFL news, Joe Flacco's back with the Bengals on a one-year deal. The 41-year-old Flacco was traded to Cincinnati from Cleveland last season. In the NHL, the Blue Jackets beat the Flyers 3-2 last night in Philly. Zach Werenski and Mason Marchment recorded a goal and an assist in the win. Blue Jackets are second in the Metro with 87 points. They'll skate in Montreal on Thursday. And game 1 of 82 begins tonight for the Yankees and the Giants. The Reds and Guardians will open the MLB season on Thursday. Cincinnati hosts Boston. Cleveland's at Seattle. This update is sponsored by Germain Toyota. For unbeatable service and sales, visit Germain Toyota on the corner of I-70 and Bryce Road or online, germaintoyota.net.
The best hair on the air. You were listening to Bishop and Friends.
Post. Hitting the post, kids. Post. Hitting the post is the goal for those. You have the music bed, and, well, you better be done talking before. It used to be with this bed, just to give you a little bit of history that you probably didn't ask for here on a First Friday edition of the program, but that music bed is the old CBS Sports radio bed. Now I think it's Westwood One Sports is what it's become. Rest in peace to CBS Radio, which shutters after 100 years. That's where I worked in Cleveland, was the old CBS Radio affiliate. Now I think it's Odyssey Cleveland, but I've been hearing that music bed since almost as long as I've been doing radio. So you'd think, Joshua Perry, I'd be better at that.
I think you're fine.
Well, thank you. We have a wonderful opportunity for you today. Hey, guys, is my favorite segment of the week because it allows us to interact with you in a way that we normally don't. And the conversation we were having, JP, in the break gets you to think outside the box a little bit because you're throwing scenarios, situations, questions that you don't think about in preparing for a sports talk radio show. And because I've done a decent job with the clock today, but a bad job with our giveaways this week, we will have, for our favorite Hey Guys, a pair of tickets to see the Blue Jackets take on the Carolina Hurricanes next Tuesday, March 31st. Just the pair of tickets to the Blue Jackets game goes to our favorite Hey Guys.
Bishop and Friends present.
That's not it.
Nothing is off limits. Your participation is required. Just use the hashtag #HeyGuys and ask anything you want. Do it now.
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery Co. Great food, award-winning drinks, and something for everyone in the family. Dine, drink, distill at High Bank.
Call that a swing and a miss. You've seen a lot of those over the next week. Yeah, you have the Yankees, Giants tonight at 8 o'clock, and then Guardians and Mariners tomorrow night at 10:10. And I'll be up for that, Joshua, because the Sweet 16's going on. But, man, 10 o'clock's late. I'm old.
Yeah, we talked about this. best of luck to the people that are staying up, because I'm not. I was laying in bed at 9:45 last night, and I will not apologize for that.
You have Reds and Red Sox tomorrow at 4. That's, of course, not a national holiday, but that's a holiday for Cincinnati. You'll have the parade. You'll have that game over on the Fan 2.
Reese, you say you're going to be up tomorrow for this Guardians game.
I'm going to try to be awake
But
for
yet,
it.
we couldn't go to Athens for OU Miami.
I'm going to be at my house watching the Sweet 16 on TV and having the Guardians and the Mariners on my laptop, which will be on my stomach as I lay down.
Just saying.
Going to Athens I'm never going to hear the end of this.
Just slept in the car.
And it was probably the best game between OU and Miami ever. When they went to overtime, Miami secures 31-0 on the season. And yeah, it was supposed to be a 2:00 game at the Convocation Center, but then they bumped it for television purposes to put it on ESPN2 at 9:00. So I had the plan to go there at 2. Great time, 9:00 on a Friday.
You're like, no, thank you.
I've got to wrangle Tito the next morning. Again, I know my limitations. We'll start with an email actually yesterday around noon, and I don't necessarily know why Nick would feel the need to send me this. But he says, hey, guys, if the Fan was to give away a trip to a sporting event, hypothetically, of course, what event and location would be your ideal trip to win?
So I started thinking about this because, I'm a big college football fan. So there are a lot of events I'd like to go to, but I've been to Rose Bowls, I've been to national championship games, et cetera, et cetera. NFL don't really want to do a Super Bowl, could, skip the finals for NBA, whatever. So I'm like, what are some of these other one-off events I'd like to go to? How about a U.S. Open in New York? That feels like a hell of a trip. It's fun. You get to see all the stars out there. Got signature drinks. Any event that has a signature cocktail, I'm in on. But you also wrap that around into a trip to New York. Like, that to me seems like one I would either like to win or give away someday.
So this one was easy for me, and it's the number one thing on my bucket list to do. And it is to go with the Blue Jackets on their Western Canadian swing, which also a lot of times now involves Seattle. But Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, that trip, they usually make it. They go out there for a week. A lot of times, like I said, now they'll throw Seattle in there as well. That is the ultimate dream sports bucket list for me.
I think a fun trip to give away, as we are your Central Ohio home for the Cleveland Browns, would be if that franchise was to play a game in Madrid. Watch them at the Bernabeu, have fans go over to Spain, have that experience, like to do a live show from somewhere in Madrid in advance of that would be an incredible opportunity, and for the fans to pal around with them. I have pitched, and I will continue to pitch until they dismiss me or my key card doesn't work. This show, because of our great partnership with RCDRV, to get an RV to go down to Reds opening day and do festivities there, which would include a live show. I'm trying to get on one of the parade floats. So we're doing the show from the float. As it kind of gets closer to the stadium, it doesn't go right up front to Great American Ballpark, but then we would scurry over for first pitch. Someday.
To get like a rolling generator with us or something to keep the power?
There's ways to make this work.
Get some Starlink there on the float.
I saw this from great friend of the program, Snagglepuss, on Twitter. Hey, guys, in honor of opening day, what's your favorite episode of Brockmire? Have either of you seen Brockmire?
I don't even know what that is.
I've watched probably 6 or 7 episodes.
So it's Hank Azaria, who was his character Brockmire is a major league announcer, and he, I think, has demons that send him to the minors, and he's still dealing with those demons in minor league baseball.
Yes, many demons.
Many demons, a great many demons. And I only know this character because he was insistent on being a recurring character on the Dan Le Batard show, and every appearance fell so flat because I didn't know the character.
Interesting.
I don't know if character work goes well on shows like this where you haven't established said character through the programming.
Right. I mean, I think the first episode actually wrapped me in. So I guess I would go with that. I kind of fell off of that show. Like, it's not that it was bad, but I wanted to watch reruns of sitcoms, so I just flipped over to doing that.
Connor asks, hey guys, with JSN getting the bag at 40-something a year, Dak is still the highest of them all at $60 million per year. By what point or how many years until we get the first NFL player making $80 to $100 million per year?
Doesn't feel that far off.
No.
With the way that the cap keeps exploding. Like, Do we see it in the next 15 years? Maybe next decade? It feels like it could happen that quickly.
I think
the new TV deal, by the way, is supposed to be coming. That's going to be the thing.
That's what I was going to say. It depends on what this new TV deal is, because they're talking about being in the billions of dollars here with all of these people that want to get involved with the NFL now and all of these services. So
streamers.
I'm going to say, because Dak's an okay quarterback, but he's not the best in the league. And when one of these quarterback deals come up, they're going to be pushing. They're going to be getting close. I'm going to say we see $80 million in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
This from Joe. Hey, guys, does it bother you when food delivery drivers park in the fire lane at restaurants to pick up food?
Not in particular. I know it's taboo. I guess you're not supposed to do that. And I understand exactly why. But, like, quick in, quick out. These people are busy. Listen, it's hard making money on these delivery apps or ride shares too. So, like, I don't blame them for parking there. It doesn't really bother me.
Usually the fire lane, there is enough room that a car trying to get out is not going to be impeded. So, no, I don't have a problem with that. I'm guessing if they see the building is on fire, they're going to be, not parking there. They're going to be like, I probably can't get the food here or whatnot. I don't know. Maybe some of them aren't smart enough to realize that, but I have no problem with it.
It would bother me if they parked in a handicap spot.
So I've seen that.
Correct.
That is something I just feel like we don't need to do if you don't have a handicap placard.
I do Panera every morning because it's right by where I live and also right by the station. And when there are some drivers who, instead of parking in a spot, just park in the parking lot, like just in one of the if you go in and you want to go through the drive-through, they're just parked there. Like just in the way of everybody else, just to run in and grab the bag and run out. And also if it's just a two-way street and there isn't a fire lane or there isn't parking on the side and they're taking up one whole lane and just the flashers are on, that doesn't mean you can park there.
No handicap spots and don't block traffic, I would say, are the two rules for me.
All right, our listeners are the best. You guys understood the assignment so much so that we're going to continue, hey guys, into the next segment. We're also going to get back into some pro day conversation, and Dan Orlovsky doing a little bit of a 180 on his Fernando Mendoza take. All of that coming up next. Bishop and Friends on The Fan.
Head to 971thefan.com to listen on demand and subscribe to all our podcasts. Wasting time has never been easier. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
The Reds are on the radio.
And he caught it. No way. What a grab. Noelvi Marte. Ellie De La Cruz is on his horse, and they're waving him to the house.
Suarez swings. He drives this.
It is gone. Eugenio Suarez puts the Reds on top.
The quest for October baseball begins Thursday. It's opening day. Hear all the action on your home of the Reds.
Common Man here for Jermaine. Everybody's talking about affordability when buying a car these days, but the truth is, GoJermaine.com has a great selection of affordable inventory. Maybe that tax return's going to hit your mailbox pretty soon. Well, go see my friends because they have 300 new cars under 30 grand, over 300 used cars under 20 grand, and it's only at GoJermaine.com. And along with their $1,000 price promise, no one's going to sell you a car for less. Get started at GoJermaine.com.
James Laurinaitis here for my guys at Green & Sons, the premier Kubota dealership in Central Ohio. Green & Sons has all the Kubotas you need to tackle your land and come out a winner. They have zero-turn skid steers, tractors from 18 to 171 horsepower, and also utility vehicles. My favorite is my RTV Sidekick. The best thing about Green & Sons is they've been family-owned and operated since 1970, and you will love dealing with the Green family and their winning team. Do what I did and check out Green & Sons located in Mount Sterling and Marysville or online at greenandsons.com for all your Kubota needs.
I'm Leslie from Pella Columbus.
And I'm Wilson from that other window place. And are you tired of windows so drafty that your curtains blow in the wind even after you shut your windows?
Sounds like a problem, Wilson.
It's why at the other window place, we now offer curtain tie-downs.
Wouldn't just great non-drafty windows be the answer?
And tank the entire curtain tie-down market?
Get the windows that homeowners rated the leading window brand in Columbus at PellaColumbus.com.
He's a husband, a dad, owner of a gym. He's also a police officer. Staying strong and pain-free isn't optional. It's safety. That's why David Boardman's a QC Kinetics patient.
My job is dependent on my physical ability and my physical fitness so that I can protect myself, so that I can go home safe to my family at the end of the night.
But severe knee pain nearly took that away. Doctors said surgery, shut down the workouts. David needed another option. That was QC Kinetics. They told him,
we're going to give you the opportunity to have not one, but 2 healthy knees, and we don't have to cut you open.
They used David's own healing tools in his blood to help restore his knees. Regenerative treatments right in the office.
Since I've gone to them, I run 20, 30 miles a week.
Trust the team helping active people avoid surgery. Call QC Kinetics today for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. 380-208-4544. 380-208-4544.
What's the best way to make sure you don't miss any of your favorite fan shows? Oh no. Download the Fan app, silly.
Ah, damn it, I knew that.
App Store, Google Play, or just scream right at your phone. Psst, you can also listen to Buckeye games. Do it now.
As speech pathologists, it's our privilege to help students develop their communication skills. However, the increased caseloads and responsibilities began to negatively impact the students' experience. With the help of my association, I was able to communicate these concerns to our district leaders, which directly led to the hiring of more speech pathologists to serve our kids. Now they're benefiting from smaller group sizes and are able to reach their goals quicker. My name is Morgan Gomez, and I'm a proud member of the Springboro Education Association because strong unions make strong public schools for our students.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is, fast for cash. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, commercial properties. I even buy my tenants won't pay me the rent houses. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Partly sunny skies and highs getting into the mid-60s, and then for tonight, mostly cloudy overnight with our lows in the mid to low 50s. For Thursday, an isolated chance of showers and storms, otherwise partly sunny, warm, and windy with highs getting in the mid to upper 70s. Chances of storms develop late Thursday overnight into Friday, some which could be strong with heavy downpours and gusty winds. For The Fan, I'm meteorologist Meredith Garfalo with the 10 Weather Impact Forecast.
Common Man, a radio veteran, has a large hemorrhoid. Timmy Hall, a good, clean boy, moonlights as man's hemorrhoid. Common Man and Timmy.
Weekdays at 3.
The Fan. After putting up with Dom Tiberi for a decade, the broadcast gods gave Bo these two. This is Bishop and Friends.
And by gave, he means myself and Ryan Baker. We are fortunate to be gifted Joshua Perry this week as Bo's on vacation. He'll be back from spring break on Monday. He had to do a 180 from Hawaii. He's with his kids and family in Florida. So thoughts with him as they prepare to travel back this weekend. Baker, in the break, you said we had some breaking news from Jake Trotter?
Yeah, so this was at the beginning of our last segment where we were starting Hey Guys, and we had talked to Jake at 10:30 like we do every Wednesday. So go back and wherever you get your podcast, you can listen to that as he's in town for Ohio State's Pro Day. It is just a picture of underneath the Buckeye Donuts sign, and it says, "Damn you guys."
You're welcome.
You know he's enjoying it.
It's a good decision.
And for anybody that's in town, if you're taking in the sights and sounds of the Pro Day, or if you're just in Columbus because it's a wonderful place to be, Buckeye Donuts is a wonderful place to go to get lunch, dinner, breakfast. If you've had a couple of pops on campus, you want to stop in. I think they're open 24 hours. So, Jake, you're welcome. Baker, do you have the button ready real quick?
Yeah,
because your Jake Trotter news has me looking at from Chimdi Chekwa's burner.
Chimdi Chekwa.
Oh, no, I lost it. So our YouTube's glitching up on us.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Okay, this is from Chris. Sorry. This is from Chris. I read that incorrectly. Reading's hard. With all the NFL talent evaluators in town, does that change how you approach the radio show, knowing some bigwigs in the NFL might be listening?
Hell no.
No.
Absolutely not.
I'm going to do a mediocre show regardless.
Yeah, maybe it should change the way we do it, as in we start going in on some of these guys who need to be a little bit better at what they're doing. But the answer is no. I am who I am. You are who you are.
This is the show you're going to get pro day or no pro day. Although, I think I'm usually pretty critical of the Cleveland Browns. They do enough things to generate proper criticism. So if you're a Browns decision maker listening, be better at your job, please.
There you go.
I got this one via email from Bobby. It says, hey, guys, Rick Bowness is the Blue Jackets rolling toward the playoffs, but he needs one more intimidating enforcer to protect the Stars, excuse me. He calls up Joshua Perry to lace up the skates. Joshua, assume you can actually stay upright on the ice for more than 10 seconds. Which current NHL player are you immediately challenging to a fight to set the tone for the team, and how quickly are you ending up in the penalty box? So the Jackets do have the Sharks in town on Saturday, and I think they have one of the bigger, if not better, enforcers in the league outside of Matthew Olivier, who would be your teammate.
Yeah, that would be Ryan Reeves in that scenario, and I would go for it. Now, we were talking about this. I asked you guys for some help because I'm like, who are the biggest enforcers? And Bake was like, well, I'm not sure you want to fight that guy. Hell yes, I do. My job is to be the enforcer. And so I got to go at the biggest, toughest guy that's out there. And I got to let him know that ain't no punk and that we're ready to play.
Punch the biggest guy in the yard first.
That's right. The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
I love it. That intensity. Now, how long would you stay on your feet, though?
I can't skate.
Damn.
So, it'd be a little bit of a problem.
It'd be a challenge, but I'm here for it.
Which is, it's fine. We can get over the lack of skating ability. You were one of the first cannoneers from this station. They do need to have you back sometime in the remaining, I think, 6, maybe 7 home games to rectify a loss following your cannoned ignition.
Listen, I'm going to find a way
that energy
to get to Nationwide one way or another, and especially if they are hosting a playoff series, like I'm there. I have to see that. So whether it's to follow in Tyvis's footsteps as a cannoneer of a winning team, or whether it's just as a regular fan, I'm going to be in there.
Well, Joshua, you are a member of the media, so you could get a media pass, and we could sit next to each other up there.
I like the way you think. You could actually talk me through some of the stuff. I can understand it better.
We would have a hell of a time, especially during a playoff game.
Forecheck, back check, icing, offsides. What does any of it mean? Loyal listener Shannon asks on YouTube, hey guys, what's the worst rule you broke as a child or a teen and were caught? How were you punished?
It's hard to think of on the spot. I was a rule follower generally as a teen. I was a little bit of a hellion, an unruly child. So my older brother used to do things to antagonize me. And one day he pissed me off pretty bad. So I put a tack inside of his shoe. So when he put his shoe on, he would step on the tack. And I got punished with a spanking.
Mick Foley said that's no big deal. No, I've talked about one of mine, Reese, and it was spring break of senior year. Had a big party when the parents were out of town, and night 1 unscathed, went back for night 2, and that's usually when you get caught. And sure enough, I did. I don't remember what my punishment was from my parents for that. It was probably getting my car taken away for a couple of weeks, but the legal system was punishment enough, I believe, through that. I will say when I was a little bit younger, my grandpa had bought a new lawnmower tractor, and I was driving it, and I was told not to, leave it right here, don't change it, and go. Well, I went to the highest speed, lost control, and hit the house. Grandpa was not very happy, and I ended up having to pay to get the tractor fixed.
Wow.
But
I lost my car for a month. Mom went out of town, held a party, was mopping the floor as she walked in. And so we were able to clean most of it up, but just the floor after a house party is a little sticky. You get a lot of stale beer, and you can smell it. And so we were able to get a lot of the smells, a lot of the cans out of the way. But as soon as she stepped foot from the wood floor, I'll never forget this, from the wood floor into the kitchen, her feet stuck.
Oh.
And that was it. So I didn't learn my lesson per se, but lost the car for a month. One more. Cardinal asks, hey guys, it's baseball season. What would a successful season be for the Reds and the Guardians?
Don't ask me. I'm not that dialed in. I got to do my research.
So, Reese, I will say this from a Reds fan's perspective. And it sucks having the injuries on the pitching staff right now to open the year, but you made the playoffs last year. I think for the Reds this year in Terry Francona's second year, I think you have to make the playoffs. And I believe you need to win a playoff series. I believe. Just take that next step. So I guess if the Reds make the playoffs, it's successful, but I would like to see them win a playoff series, just the next progression, because I know Ellie's only going to be here for so long.
Guardians won the Central with 88 wins last season. They'll probably have a similar number of games won, 88 and 74. It's probably this. They lose Emmanuel Clase. You lose Luis Ortiz because they had to gamble. So I'm going to gamble and say they win 85 games. They still win the Central, even though the Tigers still have the best roster. Just somehow Detroit can't get out of its own way. But you're in the American League Central is the fattest division in the sport. And so far, the Guardians have somehow been the quickest kid in that fat division. So that is what I will say for the Guardians. 10-10 tomorrow night in Seattle for their opening game. As for your Cincinnati Reds, 4-10 first pitch tomorrow against the Boston Red Sox. Thank you, everybody, as always. We got a ton of Hey Guys, some that we can carry into next week. But I did want to get into...
Hold on, we got to give a winner. This is a big prize we're giving away. This is a big prize.
This is why I need Baker for this.
We promised a prize. We have to deliver.
Because I was ready to roll into some breaking NBA news, but we do have a pair of tickets to see the Columbus Blue Jackets take on the Carolina Hurricanes next Tuesday at Nationwide Arena. Joshua, do you have a favorite question that was asked in the Hey Guys segments we just did?
I think the giveaway one was a good one.
The hypothetical giveaway one.
Yes.
By Nick.
Yes.
The trip to any sporting event.
That's right.
If we were to do that, which we're not.
Yes, we are not.
We're not giving away a trip.
Hypothetically, if we could, what we would do.
All right, Nick, congratulations. You win a pair of tickets to see the Blue Jackets and the Hurricanes. Since you sent me the email, I'll get in touch with you on how you're going to acquire that, but that'll be Thursday, March 31st. No giveaway to no trip. None of that. 97
Tuesday,
March
31st.
Thank you.
Here we go.
Really needed Baker. Need him every day, but especially on a day like today. So Tuesday, March 31st for the Jackets and the Hurricanes. 971thefan.com to learn about a fantastic trip that you have to pay for. Shams Charania is ESPN's NBA insider, and he says this necessarily isn't breaking news because we all saw this coming, but the NBA's Board of Governors has approved a vote for the league to explore bids and applicants for expansion teams exclusively in Las Vegas and Seattle.
Okay.
This is just another step in that direction of getting really the Supersonics back to the NBA,
now,
which should be the case.
Do they get to be the Supersonics is the question.
I think so.
Okay.
I think they were able to keep everything.
That's the biggest question for me, because if they're not, I don't want it. And I want them to use all of the old logos. Yes. I want it to feel like we're in a time warp when that franchise comes back.
I mean, I want to take it a step further. I want them to get one of Sean Kemp's kids on the team.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them's got to be good enough, right?
Why not?
He's got enough for his own basketball team.
Plenty.
So. Get Gary Payton Jr. over there, too, the rest of his career.
I'm telling you.
A legal settlement in 2008 allowed Seattle to keep the rights to the Supersonics name, colors, and logos.
Love that.
So they will hopefully keep it all the same, because it was perfect branding.
There's a conversation to be had about how bad logos are in sports today, and therefore how bad apparel is.
Yeah.
Like, there was a point through like the 80s and the 90s where all of the uniforms were so colorful and the logos had just like animation that evoked great emotion and made you feel a certain way. And you had all the starter jackets and whatnot. And nowadays, everything's just kind of It's okay. Nothing's great right now. And we need to go back to the old way.
I know we, think back to the 90s often, and the jackets, you had the Charlotte Hornets, the Toronto Raptors, the Seattle Supersonics. You weren't fans of those teams, but holy cow, were those things awesome to wear. And
give me a Raptors jersey.
The color schemes, the logos, everything was cool. And, what I would see at OU during Street Fest is you'd have Supersonics jerseys, throwback Vince Carter's for the Toronto Raptors. Like, that was what was cool.
Like, no offense.
None taken. I know where you're going to go, because you're right.
Yes. And we've had better in the past.
Yes. The Cleveland Cavaliers, I think, were better orange and blue.
Yes.
Like the Mark Price era. And I'm trying to remember the polar bear's name, who was their mascot before Sir CC. Moondog. No, there was another one. And I'll try to think of it before this show is over. But we do have to get to some silliness in the NFL. We know Fernando Mendoza is going number 1 overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. We've talked this week about discussion around Ty Simpson and how that's gotten really weird. Well, the top take maker in terms of Ty Simpson to the first round is doing a 180. We'll discuss that next. Bishop and Friends on the Fan.
Common Man here for Universal Windows Direct. If you've opened that energy bill lately and thought there's got to be a better way, there is. Drafty, outdated windows can drain your wallet month after month, letting warm air escape in the winter, cool air leak out in the summer, and forcing your HVAC system to work overtime. Call my guys at Universal Windows Direct. They'll take care of you. Buy 2 windows, you get 2 free, and there's no limits. Plus, 24 months with no payments and no interest. Call 614-502-5220, universalwindowsdirect.com.
It's never a bad time to fire up the grill. At Billiards Plus, the grilling season never ends. While you're grill shopping, you'll love browsing Central Ohio's largest selection of pool tables, game furniture, and shuffleboard. Family owned and operated. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
Got that tax refund? Uncle Sam's Cash is calling. Put it towards your new ride. Right now at Capital Ford in Whitehall, drive home an F-150, Explorer, or more with 0% APR for up to 60 months on select models, plus deferred payments for up to 90 days. See Capital Ford in Whitehall today. See dealer for details.
Spring is hatching at the Columbus Zoo. Join us April 3rd and 4th for Eggs, Paws, and Claws. Snap a pic with the Easter Bunny, meet Egbert, roll into Shelley's Celebration, and crack the clues in the Explore and Find. It's 2 extra fun days you won't want to miss. Get your discounted tickets at Kroger.
Hi, Dave.
Your people were at my house yesterday.
Are you happy they came?
I never realized how much that junk was bothering me until it was gone.
We love to give people that clean, happy feeling, Dave. Thanks for calling.
I feel great. Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
When your wonderful people were about to drive away, I looked at my wife and said, that was love with its sleeves rolled up.
Did your wife agree?
Absolutely.
Dave, you made my day.
We make junk disappear.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
When we designed our Columbus Blue Jacket ticket plans, we designed them for fans like you. For fans who want to choose their games and their seats, and fans who need flexibility when their plans change. Columbus Blue Jacket season ticket plans. Get your tickets now at bluejackets.com.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. If you love a good pie analogy,
think of the cap as a pie, and once you take out one piece, there's less left for the next guy.
Then this is the radio show for you. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
It was Whammer. Whammer was the polar bear in the 90s.
Whammer.
That rocked the really big sunglasses and the blue and orange for the Cleveland Cavaliers with the Mark Price era. Whammer was the mascot.
Now that I hear that, I do remember. I would have never thought of it ever in a million years, but now that you hear it.
An incredible thing to hear this week has been the discussion around the quarterback in the NFL. Really, Joshua, discussion around quarterbacks in college and in the pros, it feels much like logos has decreased in intelligence. Like there have just been dumber and dumber conversations.
Low quality takes.
The more we go, the further we go. And I do wonder if it's just because there's more people out there that are giving takes at such a high frequency.
Yeah.
Because you've got so many different podcasters. You've got guys like us. You've got ESPN's, got the RSNs.
It's our attention, though. That's the problem, is not their frequency. It's our attention that's driven their frequency, because we hear one thing and it'll buzz for a little while, and they've got to get up the next day and do something else that buzzes because everybody forgets what happened the day before. Now, this is one of the rare scenarios where it feels like it's had a multiple day life.
Lived longer than it should, in my opinion.
But part of the reason why the takes are the takes is because we don't have the attention span to think about anything they say for longer than a day.
Dan Orlovsky this morning prefacing another Ty Simpson take with, I don't think Fernando Mendoza is a bad player. Now, forever, it's been assumed Mendoza is going number 1 overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. This quarterback class is widely criticized for the depth. There's no real NFL day one talent. Doesn't mean there are guys that could be molded into starters for franchises in the right position with the right coordinator, with the right talent around them, could potentially turn into something. But the idea that, especially for me with Orlovsky and Simpson, it doesn't necessarily mean that Mendoza sucks.
Right.
It just thinks Orlovsky values Simpson more so as an NFL project than what he does Mendoza. And I think that's valid. I also think he's got to be a lot more careful about how he frames the arguments.
Yeah, it's I think the whole thing is kind of dumb because I don't agree that Ty Simpson is quarterback one or should be. But to your point, I feel like anytime somebody says something about a different quarterback or says something that's maybe negative about Fernando Mendoza, like the pitchforks come out,
right?
And nobody's allowed to do that. And I actually am a person who believes that the gap between the two is smaller than what we've been led to believe. But it doesn't mean that I think that Ty Simpson should be in the first round. I think it's because I think Fernando Mendoza should be further down people's big boards, but he's the number one quarterback who's going to go number one overall. I pulled out some stats here just to put some context around how a guy can get to, I like Ty, and there's some extrapolating that has to go with all this. So Indiana, 12th in rushing yards per game. They had the number 3 defense. Alabama was 125th in rushing yards per game. They had the number 20 defense, so not bad defense. But certainly there was less on the plate of Fernando Mendoza. Dan Orlovsky said that. That is 100% a fact. Then you look at some of the best games for Fernando Mendoza, or not best games, toughest games that he had. Against Iowa, 2 touchdowns and interception. First time they played Oregon, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Against Penn State, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Against Ohio State, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. And against Miami, he had 0 passing touchdowns, didn't throw any interceptions in that game. You go to what their rushing offense did in those games, 2.7 yards per carry, 3 yards per carry, 3.5, 3.5, and 2.9. So if you held them under 4 yards per carry, you saw a lesser version of Fernando Mendoza. Nobody's talking about that. We're not talking about the idea that he had an elite run game. We're not talking about the idea that he had one of the best defenses in college football. And we're not talking about the idea that he had wide receivers that were really good. Surratt, Cooper, and Charlie Becker, who emerged, didn't drop anything. You contrast with Ty Simpson. They had a bad offense around. The offensive line was dysfunctional. They could not run the football. Their defense was fine, but it certainly wasn't elite like Indiana's. And by the way, the guy who was supposed to rival Jeremiah Smith at the beginning of the year, Ryan Williams, forgot how to catch the football. He couldn't catch a cold in December.
No,
that's
bad.
How bad he was. So I understand how if somebody is just looking at the individual and they're looking at traits and they're looking at operation and they're looking at concepts and who's done more pro-style stuff, how you get to this idea of maybe we're leaning too much into Fernando. Now, I don't think it's the case that Ty is better, but I think it's wild that we got to this point of we can't say anything bad about Fernando, and if you're a Ty person, then your agency is paying you money or there's some conspiracy that your agent is the reason why you would go on TV and say that.
So that whole thing's been wild to me. So if you missed it, there was an interview yesterday. Dan Orlovsky was on with Pat McAfee, and Orlovsky, I think, did a bad job of defending his take about Simpson.
Awful.
And McAfee and his buddies took the opportunity to say, well, you're basically saying that Mendoza had all this talent around him and he was awful in these situations, which wasn't what Orlovsky was saying, because Orlovsky didn't do a good enough job defending himself. That's how it came off. And both of them came off really horrible and made, to my point about really awful quarterback discussion, much more salient. Because you had Orlovsky in one frame just rolling his eyes and dropping his head and keeping his mouth open whenever Pat McAfee would make a point. And then when he would send it back over to Pat, Pat's taking shots. He's got his guys on the show also taking shots at Orlovsky, much like that's why you're getting paid to do this.
Ugh.
Inferring that Orlovsky, who has the same representation as Ty Simpson, is somehow on television stumping because of that relationship.
Can I say something about that real quick?
Of course.
So CAA is at the middle of this, the agency.
Yes.
Right? And that's who reps Orlovsky. That's also who reps Ty Simpson. By the way, I'm rep by CAA. And a lot of people in sports, in sports media and athletes are, because they are the most powerful agency in sports. They're number one. I looked at this thing from a few years ago. So it's CAA, it's Wasserman or whatever they're being called right now, WME, Excel Sports, and Octagon. Those are the top 5 agencies in sports. They all rep athletes, they rep coaches, and they rep people in media. $3 billion in commissions by those agencies. That is more than double the next 15 largest agencies. So the idea that these two guys are connected, like, everybody who is in the business, basically you could filter like half of sports people into 5 different agencies. This is not a conspiracy. The best people want to work with the best agents. The best agents want to work with the best talent. It's really insanity to me. But I feel like this is all being driven by a lot of factors, which one of them is in media, we have not done a very good job of being stewards of information and being journalists. And so people think everything is a conspiracy because they don't trust media members.
And that's the thing where I always get off on what we do isn't journalism, but I don't think that gives us an excuse to not utilize journalistic integrity every time we crack this microphone. And every time we do anything in our coverage here, we should still uphold journalistic standards.
It's one of the downfalls of the opinion-based argument sports show that happens now is if you say anything against anybody, you don't like that person. Like I take it back to Ohio State basketball this year, and my thoughts on Bruce Thornton on some things didn't mean he wasn't a good player. It didn't mean that I didn't like him, that I wasn't rooting for him. I just saw and thought there were some limitations there for a team that wanted to go to a certain level. And that doesn't mean that I hate Bruce and I'm against Bruce and I dislike him. Yeah, but that's just the way it is now. If you say anything negative, and JP, your point on this back at the beginning is so spot on. There's not a quarterback in this draft, as of right now, with their resume and what they've put out on tape. There's not a quarterback in this draft, especially with the players that are in this draft, that's worthy of a first-round pick, probably. Maybe late back end of the first round, but we're quarterback desperate, and the Raiders don't have one, and they haven't had one in a long time, so they've got to take the best of this bunch at number 1, or they're going to, it seems like. And that's where we get into this, and the reality probably is all of these guys are probably pretty closely bunched, but because you got to pick one as the best at number 1, and then nobody else is going to take one because what you have is probably as good or maybe better. It's just the way it is.
Fernando Mendoza, to me, I would feel comfortable in the back half of the first round of being like, I'm all in on that. But when I'm looking at a number 1 overall pick, I'm like, this guy can lift a franchise on his own. Like his arm, his legs, his leadership, his moxie, whatever it is. And he's got leadership, moxie, he's got a good arm, but it's not to the level of some of the other transcendent quarterbacks that we've seen. And I think we need to be okay acknowledging that. And I'm not saying that I think he's going to be a bust in the NFL or he's not going to be great. But the reality of the situation is, like, I watched him at Cal. He had problems taking sacks, and that was a bad offensive line, but he looked at the rush a ton. He also turned the football over a lot. Did he improve when he got to Indiana? Yes. Did everything around him improve when he got there? Also, yes. And so I think as a person evaluating it, it's a little bit difficult to separate what all got better from him, what was part of Charlie Becker having a ridiculous catch against Penn State that extended the drive, where he throws it to Omar Cooper, who had a ridiculous catch in the back of the end zone. Like, these are legitimate questions I don't feel like people are comfortable asking right now, at least publicly.
I think in 5 years, it's safe to say if Ty Simpson or Fernando Mendoza are going to be quarterback 1 for an organization, I think most of us can say probably not.
Yeah, I mean, I think either one of them could stay. Do I think we're going to be like, oh, these are top 10 quarterbacks in the league? I'm not sure.
And we probably all said the same about Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean,
he's the unicorn. That's what, for sure. You can't compare anything to Tom Brady the same way I don't think you can compare anything viewership-wise to the National Football League. Yeah. There's just layers to it. Joshua, I'm going to put you on the spot because you got to give us an officially endorsed.
Okay. I
think the first officially endorsed of the spring. We will get to you and 3 things coming up next. Bishop and Friends on the Fan.
File now with TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They'll find every credit and deduction or your money back. File in the Credit Karma app.
This Ohio State football spring practice report is brought to you locally on The Fan by Roosters and by your Ohio Kubota dealers.
Ohio State football spring practice report.
After a career-high 6.5 sacks and 11 tackles for loss in 2025, defensive end Kenyatta Jackson Jr. is back for his senior season.
Pretty much I came back just to be a more complete football player, not just on the field, but, off the field, with IQ and things of that nature. Yeah, I'm taking the leadership role. We have new guys in the room. I'm just taking them in and, just showing them the ropes of, Ohio State football, the standard of what Ohio State football is.
Switching his number from 97 to 2, Jackson's jersey isn't the only thing he's changed in the offseason.
I've been focusing on my body, probably gained like 8.5 pounds of lean mass, drop a couple of, percentage of fat. I've been focusing on my body pretty much, just trying to get stronger, more explosive. Number 2 is just, pass rush. I'm taking that, that next step in my development with my pass rush. They put me in situations where I can win, and that's what I'm just taking advantage of.
This report was brought to you by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center and by Weber Grills. I'm Tyler Danberg on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
Buckeye fans, game day just got hotter. Whether you're parked in the shoe lot or grilling at home, it's not a tailgate without Weber Grill's Traveler Grill. Fires fast, folds flat, fits compact, and delivers championship flavor every time. Burgers, brats, steaks, even rival fans agree. Bring the taste of victory wherever you grill. The Weber Traveler Grill. Tailgate tough. Buckeye proud. Weber Grills. Taste the tradition. Proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota, like the world's best-selling vehicle, the all-new, all-hybrid 2026 Toyota RAV4. Now through March 31st, get 4.99 APR financing on a new RAV4. Or lease a well-equipped RAV4 LE for just $299 a month for 36 months with $39.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS, tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details or go to Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Last year, I had back pain radiating down my right leg. The pain was so bad I was willing to cut my leg off to stop the pain. I could barely walk and had to stoop over when I did just to take pressure off the spine. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. In my professional career, I've represented thousands of people who've had herniated discs and issues with their neck and back, but never fully appreciated what they were going through until it was my turn. It's like trying to describe colors to a blind person who's never had sight. All I can tell you is it hurt like hell, but worse. My daily walk was gone, and that bothered me a great deal. Then I thought of all of you and how much more devastating this type of injury could be for you. My life stopped. I now feel your pain. Just know at Morgan & Morgan, we got your back. I understand. Morgan means more.
Morgan & Morgan, Ohio office located at 600 Vine Street, Cincinnati. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Diamond Seller, your true jeweler for almost 80 years. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Bo could quit today and become the school drop-off line coordinator. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Imagine pulling into your elementary or middle school, dropping the little one off, and there's just Uncle Bo.
Do you think he would wear like a vest, one of the neon vests?
No, hell no. You're not putting anything neon on Bo Bishop.
What a shame.
I don't know. I think he'd follow the rules. He'd definitely have the orange air traffic controller flags.
In lieu of the orange vest, he would have the airplane sticks that he's leading you on. He's giving you the X. He's leading you through. But yeah, you're not putting neon on that, man. The Daily Fan Poll, sponsored by JT's Pizza and Pub. It asks, are you rooting for the Big Ten the rest of the way in the NCAA tournament? So there's 6 teams available. Your options for the Daily Fan Poll, sponsored by JT's Pizza and Pub. Yes, all 6. All of them but Michigan. No, I want them to lose. 76% say all of them but Michigan.
I think I'd root for them up to a point. I still think I'm at the point where I'd be fine seeing them advance. I'm anti what the people down south have done to the point where I'm going to do it just to piss them off.
Yeah.
But if it feels like they're getting too close to actually winning, then it's got to stop.
It's unfortunate because I think Michigan's got the easiest path of the Big Ten teams available. I think they match up well against Alabama, match up decently against Tennessee. Iowa State, I think, will be a tough match. But, yeah, the committee did Michigan a bunch of favors, putting them in the Midwest. Duke, no favors with what went on in the East. Purdue's going to be your first Big Ten team up in the Sweet 16. They got Texas tomorrow, 7-10. For that regional semifinal out in San Diego. All right, Joshua, it is the first full week of spring. Time for your officially endorsed.
Bishop and Friends present First Friday, officially endorsed, because everyone deserves 2 Fridays.
You drink for the wrong reasons. My generation, we drink because it's good, because it feels better than unbuttoning your collar, because we deserve it. We drink because it's what men do.
All right, well, I was put on the spot here a little bit, but I'm glad you did because it forced me to think about some of the things I've enjoyed for springtime. So in my household, my wife enjoys drinking bubbles. I will drink anything, but I enjoy spirits, bourbon being one of them. So a Prosecco mint julep has been something that we've ventured into. Very simple to make. You need some mint leaves, 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup. You get an ounce of bourbon in there, crushed ice, 3 ounces of Prosecco, and a dash of bitters. And then you go ahead and you put the mint leaves and the simple syrup, muddle it together in a glass, bourbon, ice, Prosecco, bitters, stir gently, and now you're drinking.
That sounds like something you can suck for opening day. Tomorrow with the Reds and the Red Sox at 4:10. Time for 3 things.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3 things.
Sponsored by Newman Roofing. For all your roofing, gutter, or siding needs, call Newman Roofing today at 614-NEW-ROOF or visit online at newmanroofing.com.
First thing for me, Netflix, just make it baseball. It's opening day. Are you calling it opening night? You're doing gimmicks with wrestlers in attendance. I see this thing from Wednesday will be lending a hand with the ceremonial first pitch ahead of Yankees-Giants. MLB opening night, Wednesday. Season 1 and 2 are streaming. Please, just baseball. Can we just make it? I get it. You're trying to make this as gimmicked as possible, but that's why I don't think anybody's going to have real interest outside of those fan bases. I'm out on it.
Gimmicks in sports are tough. I'm with you
so
on
unnecessary.
That, I don't have as big of an issue with the Netflix thing than most probably do. All right, so I'll keep it baseball on my first thing. It's one of the best sports to go and enjoy live. I'm not a huge baseball fan, as I mentioned earlier in the show, but the idea of going out to the ballpark, eating some of the snacks, it's a very casual day. It's a good way to get kids out to watch live sports as well. Like, you could talk me into that on any afternoon where the weather is right. So totally here for baseball as a consumable in-person sport.
My first thing, one of my favorite things about being able to cover high school football like I do and some of these state championships is to see players and then follow their journey as they move on throughout their career. You talked about Warren Ball yesterday. I got to cover him in high school. It's cool to see him as he went to Ohio State and Akron and then his job with the 49ers. Sydney Watts is a girl that I covered, probably the best softball player I've seen at the high school level. She now pitches for Georgia Tech. When she pitched for Austintown Fitch, I saw her in the state semifinals in 23 throw a no-hitter. Then in the state semifinals in 24 throw a perfect game. They ended up winning both of those championships. She graduated after her junior year, went to Georgia Tech. She's in her sophomore year now at Georgia Tech, and their 9-0 win over West Georgia yesterday, she threw her first college no-hitter. Wow. So pretty cool that I got to see her compete at the highest level in the state there, and now she moves on to college, major softball, and is still continuing that dominance.
We'll do this for tomorrow because as you're talking about throwing a no-no in high school, throwing a no-no at the collegiate level, I wonder, is a no-hitter the most difficult feat to accomplish in sport? At the professional level?
I mean, Matty Ice did it in high school.
Do we have footage of that? That's like the Wilt Chamberlain 100 game. Wilt Chamberlain's 100
Are you
game.
a conspiracy theorist when it comes to that?
With everything, I'm a conspiracy theorist.
All right.
That'll just be my second thing.
Okay.
When it comes to everything, I am skeptical.
I'm actually skeptical of the 100-point game.
We had somebody reach out. This was a year ago that they were actually at that game where Wilt scored the 100. So we have a witness who listens to the program.
How do we verify that?
Right.
Anyway, I'm not trying to call the people liars out there. My second thing, so I'm heading over to the Woody and watch guys run around in front of all the personnel that's going to be out there. And every time I go to the Woody, I feel like a bitter old man. So we're in the NIL era nowadays, and these guys are getting paid sums of money, which I wasn't fortunate enough to be able to do. But then I see the updates that they've made to the building, the updates they've made to the meal area. I see some of the gear that they get to wear now. And I'm like, where was all of this back in the days when I was floating around the Woody? So I love it for those guys. I hate it for myself, though.
We've talked a lot about the Jackets, and there's something special going on right now with them since Rick Bowness has become the head coach of the team. This from Jackets insider Jeff Svoboda. Zach Werenski's single-season ranks in CBJ history this year. Currently, right now, he's fifth in points with 77. The record is 87. Assists, 56. He's tied for third. The record is 59. Goals by a defenseman, 21. That's second for the 23 he had last year. And by the way, he's second in goals, third in goals, second in points, and third in assists for defensemen in the whole league this year. I would say right now he's probably the front runner for the Norris Trophy. If you're not into hockey or into this Jackets push, be into this for greatness and what we're seeing from Zach Werenski, because it is truly something special.
Yeah, final thing for me, I'm looking at odds for that Norris Trophy. Zach Werenski is first in odds for DraftKings, for FanDuel, for MGM. Everybody's on what is understandably a better season he had last year when he should have won it.
My final thing, went to the doctor yesterday, got some stomach things I'm dealing with. So as an adult, you start to realize how awkward some of these conversations can be with your doctor, but you got to be an adult about that. So had the conversations, it was fine. Next guy who comes into the room is like, oh my gosh, I'm a big fan of yours. And I'm like, oh, so you know about all of my intimate issues now going on with my stomach. And also you like want to shake my hand. It was one of those situations where I was like, I appreciate your help, but it would have felt better if this was at the mall rather than in the doctor's office.
Final thing for me, don't go anywhere. Rothman and Ice coming up next. Adam Schefter at 12:30, and then some Hockey and Hounds with Blue Jackets defenseman Damon Severson at 2:30.
And Joshua, we look forward to getting your Pro Day recap tomorrow, 9 to noon, Bishop and Friends, right here on The Fan.
If you haven't thought about Buckeye football today, I'm sorry to tell you that you're dead.